Welcome back to Appalachian Dim Sum. This is episode
27.
That's right. Appalachian Dim Sum, where our entertainment is our comfort food.
Absolutely.
This time from Studio Randy.
Yeah, this is my house because, well, we needed to record here for various reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious to see how the audio works out, how the lighting works out.
Might help the audio because we're in a smaller room.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It might be more echoey though. I don't know. We'll see.
Could be.
We'll find out. So if the audio is vastly different in this one, we apologize. And it'll be vastly different for the next month, actually, because we're going to record all of next month's here soon.
We're always changing.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had one yet that's been exactly the same as the one before. But...
No, we're already talking about things we might do different in the next episode. So, yep, always in flux.
Trying to improve things as we go.
Yeah, I think we're doing well. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I feel like we're getting a little better at this.
Yeah, man. It's kind of interesting where we are today. We are going to season 2 of DanDaDan.
Yeah.
Which takes us back to our first episode because that was season 1 of DanDaDan. That's how we tried the whole podcast thing. So I think we definitely got better at getting more concisely through some of the things we want to talk about. I think the first episode was like 8 hours.
Well, I don't know if better at concise is the right word because we've had to split up what we anticipated being one episode into 4.
I think we have more of a plan, I guess, to move through our stuff.
Absolutely.
So, and I think we both talked about it ahead of time. This is just DanDaDan season 2, not kind of our broad ranging stuff.
Yeah.
So we kind of want it to be more of an evergreen, where we don't get into topical stuff. But obviously the last couple weeks have been unpleasant, and I think if this was 2 weeks ago, we would not have even shot this episode because we were not in a place to sit down and record us talking about Japanese animation. I think even now, if we were to branch onto the topic at hand, I would probably end up standing up and grabbing the phone and yelling. So,
well, I think we both powered through DanDaDan season 2 over the past week.
Yes.
And that is unusual for me. I don't usually binge shows.
This is one of the few shows that I do because it really is. It ends in spots that are like, I got to see what happens on the next one.
Well, I mean, the end of the they'll obviously get into it, but like the end of the series does that.
Yeah.
And of course, spoilers abound. We're gonna just talk about everything as it pertains to DanDaDan season 2.
Yeah, and my whole point of just bringing that up a second ago is that I think the show was actually a good thing to kind of step away from things that were just hard to even process and making us very angry. So the show did a good job of kind of reeling me back in a little bit. So
I did find myself thankful that I had something that I could focus on to distract me and give me a little bit of levity.
Yeah. And I want to talk about anime kind of in general because I just saw Demon Slayer in the theater, but I think it's a little bit too broad to kind of work into this.
Okay.
So save that for next time.
Yeah.
But I say that because I guess this is the place to add the warning. There is no way to describe this show that will not make us sound like we've been doing hardcore drugs for days.
Right.
This is not an entry level anime by any means. It's a lot to process, trying to chase through the episodes. And you really have, if you don't understand the medium of anime, this show would just be like, you'd think that we're all crazy, or you would think that you're crazy watching it.
It is interesting because I kind of felt like season 1, it would have been kind of like it's very much an anime. It has all the tropes of anime.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was a pretty friendly, a new viewer friendly anime. Like you could come in and just watch DanDaDan and enjoy it.
Just trying to get through the first arc that basically was the theater arc, the Evil Eye arc, where they made the little 4-episode movie that we went to go see a while back. I'm just glad I got a chance to rewatch that because there's so much that happens in that. Even just trying to summarize what happens in that, you're like, Like, again, it just sounds like we've lost our minds. And we didn't make this show up. I want to say that about anime, that there is a show for everybody in Japanese anime. I think.
Absolutely.
I think, if you like Walking Dead, like Attack on Titan is a great entry level.
I agree. I still haven't watched all of it. Maybe that's one of the things I'll have to do for homework at one point. But when you said Walking Dead, the thing that popped in my head was High School of the Dead. And I was like, that's not entry.
Yeah, no.
That's not for everyone.
Yeah, I'm talking about terms and
right, themes and stuff.
Getting into an anime for the first time, you hear people talk about it, and you've never watched it. I just said Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer would be like something if you were like a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan, that kind of stuff, where you like a lot of action, tongue-in-cheek humor, don't have to think a whole lot. That's kind of Demon Slayer. If you're like a Game of Thrones person, there's Vinland Saga would be where I would send you on that. That'd be it's a Viking anime. It's all the palace intrigue, all that kind of stuff. It's historical. It's
Lord of the Rings, Record of Lodoss War. Come on, have you ever seen it?
No.
Ooh. It's classic like D&D anime. You got a hero, you got an elf lady, and it's great.
That seems to be the animes that I miss, or kind of like the
fantasy.
I guess oh my goodness.
One I watched recently was Goblin Slayer. I think season 2. I think maybe season 3 is being made. Goblin Slayer is fantastic.
What's the main one where they die in the video game? They actually can get killed.
I knew before you asked me.
That actually would almost kind of tie in, because they were going through levels of things, and that had lots of demons and trolls and stuff like that. Whatever that one's called.
Not Dot Hack. I always think when you're talking about, hey, you get these characters get stuck in a video game, I always think of Dot Hack.
There was a little side one that was like Gun Gale, Sword Art Online.
Art Online. That's it. Good job.
And if you're into like space sagas, Star Trek, Star Wars, things like that, I'd send you to like Knights of Sidonia. There's a ton of things just like Knights of Sidonia that you can watch. That's just one of my favorites. So there are things for everybody in this, and there are things that are completely watchable for kids. DanDaDan is not.
Yeah.
There are some things that are just complete garbage that you just should not watch, because it's just basically somebody's fantasy in animation.
The anime I always bring up when you're talking about like fan service and stuff, and when it goes too far, which is, the line's different for everybody.
Yeah.
I bring up Queen's Blade.
Not seen it.
That's it. I don't recommend it. That's one of the ones where like I got a couple episodes in and I was like, I can't do this. This is not enjoyable. It's just too much fan service.
I stick to more mainstream stuff. DanDaDan is amazing. It's not for beginners. No. Too much mature content for somebody that's not middle, high school, and older. And as far as my parenting decision goes, you're not watching this if you're not 16 or older. But
in my head, I was thinking like 14, because I did notice a lot. There's a lot of stuff in like DanDaDan season 2 where there were opportunities they could have gone where like the stereotypical anime fan service would have gone, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So I did explicitly notice that and be like, well, this seems like they've toned it down. Isn't really even the word, because really it's like the first episode is the first season is the only one that really has like blatant fan service.
And it was the same way the first episode of this season were the two where you're like, you're going on crossing into creepy.
Yeah.
It seems, I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. That's just the way the guy writes the story. But and even saying all that, it's not, if you go sit and watch an hour of network television between the shows that you watch and the commercials that you have to sit through, you're not seeing anything worse on what DanDaDan has to offer than you're watching on some other show. You don't realize most of the stuff that you're being exposed to on network television, but that's a whole different conversation for another time.
I would actually, generally speaking, if someone's not into anime, I recommend them some sort of anime film. I think those are more digestible.
Yeah, if you can watch Princess Mononoke and not like anime, then you're retarded. I'm sorry. You need to just not. I don't know what. There's so many of the Ghibli movies that are those, and Soda, the guy that did like Girl Left Through Time, and some of those are pretty cerebral, amazing films. But yeah, that's a good point. Just try a movie, and if you're like, wow, that's kind of cool, then
because there aren't a lot of movies that Most movies are more mainstream friendly. I think most anime films.
Yeah. And we're on to DanDaDan. This is like the second or third show that I have to go back. It's like, what does the title even mean?
Oh, does it mean something?
Well, I don't know. I haven't found a real answer for that. There's a word called kaidan in Japan that means ghost story.
Okay.
And kidan means strange story. And I think DanDadan is like another, like saying something, repeating or letting like a story build or something. So I think it's kind of a play on all those. It's a ghost story on top of a strange story on top of a story that builds as it goes. I don't know if that's what he intended.
I think I assumed it was like what's the word? Onomatopoeia, is that the word? Where it's like DanDaDan it sounds like something kind of like a gashapon. It's the sound of the little capsule coming down.
One of my favorite shows, I still don't have it on a medium that I can watch it or on any media, is Durara.
Durara.
And I think that the name of the show is just supposed to be the sound of like somebody on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that.
Yeah,
but those Kaidan and Kidan. Yeah, the fact that Dan is in both of them probably has a lot.
Dan, I think, it's like is a word for a story or a tale.
Yeah, maybe so, Dan. What is "duh" something in Japanese?
I don't know. It might be that. It might just be it's a story on a story on a story, because that really is what this anime is. It's unwinding it and trying to explain it to somebody is.
In Japanese, "da" is a kapla that means to be, story to be story.
Yeah.
The sentence like "I am a student" is used for self-directed context. Yeah, the story of the story. Yeah. That makes sense.
I think this dude that did this show is working on a level that I'm unable to process. I don't know if it's genius or madness or if it's drug fueled or what it is.
I kind of fall on the side of it, and it's good enough to where maybe it's not what I was thinking. I was thinking it was just he's throwing stuff in there, and he's like, it'll be fine. It whatever.
It seems to tie back around. There's one thing we'll get into it when we get into the synopsis that didn't really seem to fit in. But everything else, all this random stuff that he does just really throw at the wall, all comes back around into storylines. And it just, having that vision, if that's the way it happened, to me is amazing. If he's just on crack, then more power to him, I guess.
From other authors, we know that works sometimes.
Yeah. When you get old and stop doing it, then you just become an old guy that just yells at people on Twitter.
So I looked up
I'm talking about anybody specific.
So I looked up the author, Yukinobu Tatsu, and I was assuming, because I generally assume a lot of times that the main characters of a story is just like kind of a self-insert character. Yeah. Or it could be side characters. Like I thought Jimmy Olsen in Superman was probably a self-insert for a gun. For some reason, that felt like that to me. And I was assuming that Okurun was kind of the self-insert for the...
Yeah, I could 100% see
for
that.
the writer here. But we'll talk about it. But there's another character that comes in, and when I saw him, the first thing I thought was like, well, wait, is this the self-insert? Because he's so much like Okurun.
Yeah.
And I wanted to look up the writer. Yeah, he doesn't show his face. He has like a smiley mask on. That's fine. Like Yokotaro from that made Nier Automata, he wears a big helmet. Like no one knows what he looks. Well, the general public doesn't know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Have you ever? You know what I'm talking about?
I do not. I can completely understand that, though. You'd think that like some of our pop icons, like Michael Jackson and things, might have done that so that they could just go out in public and be in peace. But
this dude, any public showing he's at, he wears that helmet.
It's like a moon.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what.
He it's like a part of his style, like the style of his games.
What's the in there DJ?
Deadmau5. But he did that for a while, and then
he stopped
doing that. I think once he gained enough popularity, and I think that's probably where it kind of started. People doing that is DJs, because I know Deadmau5 and
Daft Punk.
Yeah, they did that. There's a guy with a marshmallow head.
Yeah.
And I think they're all DJs. So Gorillas kinda, but they're really more. They did like the animated characters that they.
Yeah, they just kind
were
of
behind.
drew their band that never
Yeah.
really was there.
Man, I love Gorillas. Gorillas is awesome. Anyway,
Actually coming back out with a new album, which
okay,
I'm hesitant with because Damon Albarn in 2020 bit into the whole, whatever you want to call it, virtue signaling woke sandwich, and got really preachy. I don't know why British people seem to do that to our country so that they could worry about their own. But and his music really just, it sucked, the stuff that they did for that time period, because when you get angry and are trying to prove a point all the time, you just can't create, I don't think. But it seems like what he's doing in this new one that's coming out is maybe coming back to normal. I hope.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm sure he'll take shots at our country and our leaders
probably.
because he's British. But
okay, so like, yeah, the last album that they put out, G sides. See, the last album I really listened to them of theirs was Plastic Beach.
Yeah,
and I wasn't.
Humans was kind of where it started to kind of drift off into just not what they traditionally had done. And
have they done anything since Plastic Beach?
Yeah.
That was forever ago.
Yeah, there was a couple albums, but it was that whole thing of, I'm just going to kind of use my fame to help people that don't have a career, and that's fine. That's not what people that want to listen to the Gorillas want to pay to listen to.
Oh yeah, Song Machine. Yeah, I think it's just, I like a couple of the songs on Plastic Beach, but it wasn't enough for me to be good. Let me follow them now.
Yeah.
But hey, if they're coming out with some new stuff, I'll be happy to give it a listen.
And really, when you say they, it really is just him.
Yeah.
The Hewlett guy is just the animator, so he but most of his music is just collabs with other people. And
wow, I've really not been paying attention.
Yeah, I have. I've just been disappointed at one after the other, but there's always hope that people come back around.
Back to DanDaDan.
Back to DanDaDan. You want to get into Synopsis and just kind of run through what happens in it?
Yeah, let's run through the episodes. So
again, full spoilers on the show, and also whatever the right thing is, not public service announcement, but we're not on drugs. We didn't make this up.
Disclaimer
is the word I was trying to think of. Thank you.
We could almost rename the complete podcast Two Old Men Try to Think of Words.
What was I saying? What's that
called? What's that word? What's that word? That means that thing.
All right. So the show starts with what's called the Evil Eye arc, and it's basically the 4 episodes that we saw in the theater.
Was it? Did we? I think it was only 3.
Did it come all the way around in the theater? I don't remember. I slept through a lot of what was in the theater.
Yeah, that's what you told me. You're like, apparently I slept through a lot of this.
We went to go see it after lunch, and you could take me to a gun battle after lunch, and I'd be like 5 minutes into it. But while you're looking that up, it's that arc, or the Evil Eye arc, I guess, is really the episodes. It's the first 4, but they're 13 through 16.
It's the first 3 episodes.
That's what we saw in the theater?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. The Evil Eye arc is the first 4 episodes. That was one of the comments I was going to make. I'll go ahead and make it now. I was, when I got to the 4th episode, I was like, what the, come on, man. You left like the end of this story.
So I thought I missed that in the theater.
You thought you were asleep?
I thought I was just like,
No, that just wasn't in there.
I get you.
And that I was frustrated, I guess, because I was like, come on. Yeah. You literally left a quarter of the story out here.
I think comparing it to the way Demon Slayer just did their theater release, I think they did it better with how they presented it.
Now, is that going to be like where it's a couple of episodes from the season?
It was the kickoff to the final season.
Okay.
But it seemed to be a little tighter anyway, which again, with the storyline of Demon Slayer, you can make it tight with the storyline of this. This is a herding cats anime. I mean, but anyway, this thing opens with Momo at the spa, just like at the end of the season, where she's being attacked by the Ketos. I don't know that we knew they were the Ketos yet, but the creepy old guys in the spa.
Yeah, we just thought they were like zombie kind of characters at that point.
And then go ahead.
I do want to. I'd like to give the titles of each episode.
Yeah.
Just because I think that they're interesting. This is the Legend of the Giant Snake. That's the
with
yeah. In the title.
Yeah, it's definitely like the like maybe Momo titled the episodes or something.
Very much so,
or something like that. But I think the way I have this summed up is going to kind of combine some of them. So
sure,
jump in and through the episodes. But anyway, the Keto family comes to the house with Okarun and Gigi there, and you think that they're just there to be friendly, but they turn ominous very quickly.
Very quickly. Pull out a gun. Don't you lie to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You basically get to the reveal that the Keto family has been sacrificing people, and that house is like a sacrificial altar to Kuragagi, which is the Mongolian death worm. And again, we didn't make this up, so hang with us. The Mongolian death worm. One thing to say about DanDaDan, if you're not up on it, or if you're watching this and don't know the show, everything the guy ties in all these cryptids and legends and myths, just pulls them out of everything from the Flatwoods monster to the Loch Ness monster to this, grabs these ideas and works them into the show, and just pretty seamlessly, I think, blends it into this Japanese story that.
Well, some of them he gives like his cultural perspective take on it.
Yeah.
Like imagine if we took a Japanese cryptid or a Japanese folklore character,
yokai.
Like a yokai, and like adapted it to our idea of cryptids, which are less like their idea of cryptids seem to be kind of spiritual based.
Yes. And
even the aliens in the show seems like spiritual based. Our idea of cryptids are more bestial.
Yeah.
Like it's animal.
The reason the Keto family is making sacrifices to the Mongolian death worm is to keep the volcano at bay, keep it from going off and destroying the village. And they kind of present it like they're trying to do that for the good of the people, but it's really not. It's because they also are immortal as part of this deal they've made with the snake.
Snake, yeah. Well,
because I think they've been doing it for like 200 years. They say
they think they made with the snake, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what that relationship is like, because it does seem like they kind of which is probably a commentary on religion in general.
Yeah.
It seems like they've kind of divined this religion and these rituals because they think that this is what is happening. Like,
yeah,
you sacrifice to the worm, the volcano doesn't go off, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Then in this storyline, the evil eye appears, and I don't know where that's going to fall in the episodes there. I did try to kind of, I think it shows up in the first
evil eye appears in the first episode, but we don't really get an explanation of who the evil eye is until the second episode, which is the title of the second episode, The Evil Eye.
The Evil Eye is the second one. You find out that the Ketos sacrificed a sick child to the volcano. I guess that was when they made their agreement with the snake and everything. The child was, I don't know if he was sick or if he was just kind of, because they kept him in isolation and they were saving for the sacrifice, he was really sickly. I'm not sure which came first there.
I kind of got the idea that he was just a frail child.
Yeah. So they basically imprisoned this child. They show this little boy, white hair, really sickly looking, dehydrated looking kid who's watching other kids from this like cage they have kind of built into a mound of earth, watching other kids play and wants to play. And
they really start this season off with a kind of a heart-wrenching story.
Yeah, much like the Acro Silky storyline, this is where they throw in that one in the midst of all of this other kind of crazy storyline stuff. You get this really kind of emotional sort of backstory. But the child is sacrificed, dies, becomes a haunted spirit. And then from then on, and this is what's so rough about like this whole storyline, is that like this little ghost of this child stays in this house, and these families come to this house one after the other. The kids can see him. He wants to befriend those kids. He just wants to play with kids. but his presence causes their parents to kill themselves.
To commit suicide.
And
one after another, after another, after another.
Like hanging themselves in the house, cutting their own throats and stuff like that. And it's just like,
Yeah,
it's one of those, you're like, oh my
gosh. The imagery of they had a handful of images of just a kid standing there with their parents dead in front of them. They're like, oh, that's horrifying.
And it creates this chain of these orphan kids that are then buried in the home, and they just basically build another home on top of it as a sacrifice to the snake.
Like logistically speaking, that the visualization, it's cool visualization, where when they go down into the ground, you see these homes stacked on top of each other.
It's like it's an underground city, but it's all homes.
But like when I was watching it, I was like, how would that work? And I'm asking this in an anime where a guy loses his testicles and a girl has ghost arms. Yeah, whatever. It's a cool visualization. Yeah, it is like a big underground city.
There's house on top of house, and the evil eye, which is this entity, has the souls of all of these kids, and that's kind of the source of his power. Like I think at some point you even see like he can
makes like cubes, and the walls of the cubes are the souls.
Yeah, there's these little screaming faces like running around on it, and you're just like,
cool visualization.
Wow, I'm glad that's animated, not they try to make that look real.
Yeah, but, the little screaming faces look like little marshmallows.
Yeah, and kind of next main plot thing is Gigi finds the remains of this sick kid, and he allows the evil eye, yokai, demon, whatever, to possess him, and he becomes the evil eye.
I don't think Gigi knew he was. Did he know he was going to be possessed?
I think he allows it.
He allows it.
Allows it in
because I know he's like compassionate to him. He's like, I want to be your friend. You know.
I think it's we kind of get to that here in a second with why this thing was kind of waiting on Gigi, but I think they were aware of each other on some level. The evil eye was more aware of him than the other way around, but he seemed to kind of welcome it in. He becomes the evil eye, which is the big muscular dude with the blue purple eye right in the middle of his head, and he just runs around in his underwear.
It's a great visual. I've always like Okarun's Turbo Granny look. I've always kind of thought was kind of corny.
Yeah,
but I've grown into it's grown on me.
Yeah,
but the evil eye character, I think his visual look is just fantastic.
I think I almost was the other way. I was kind of digging the mask teeth thing with the granny, and with him, I was like, I wasn't like that into it right off the bat. But the way they developed that character through the rest of the series of this season probably has kind of made him my favorite character because I think he's hilarious. But he's not hilarious at the beginning. But the evil eye has a grudge against all humans. He just wants to kill them all.
Just kill them all.
That's all. He just.
I mean, I can at least empathize with that. I mean, he got stuck in a little dungeon to watch everybody else have their life.
He's a revenge spirit, and that's the kind of the source of most evil is that kind of revenge, that never quenched thirst for revenge. But the evil eye protected Gigi, even though I think Gigi's parents, he knew they were still alive, right?
Yeah.
They tried to hang themselves, but they weren't successful. So they're the only family that stayed intact through living in this house. But the evil eye protected Gigi. He was the most recent one to live there because the evil eye had identified Gigi as he wanted his body as a vessel. Because he is in this kind of, we'll get into the high school drama part of this. He is maybe you're in America, he would be your quarterback jock.
Yeah.
He's the super strong, good looking guy. Everybody likes him. He's friendly to everybody.
One of these, all the girls want him, and all the boys want to be like him, kind of thing.
Yeah. And he's, but on top of that, he's not just like some bumbling jock. He's strong and he's smart, and that's the evil eye picked him out because he's like, finally, here's a vessel that I can get into and do what I want to do.
That's one thing I really like about the Gigi characters, because I didn't anticipate liking him, because I felt like when they introduced him in season 1, it was like, well, here's an antagonist Okarun. That's how they presented it at first.
Yeah.
But then he and Okarun started kind of having a friendly, competitive relationship.
Yeah, you kind of figured. I originally thought it would be these two would fight over Momo.
Yeah.
And that would be this there's no way that ever turns out good when two guys are fighting over a girl. But
it's definitely
really
how they set it up.
It doesn't really stay that way, so it kind of allows that.
Is Gigi and Momo are childhood friends, and they're the way they kind of set it up is Gigi, he is attracted to Momo, but just like surface level, like
he has other options.
Yeah.
In Okura, this is his first and only option.
Right. So yeah, I really like what they've done with that character. I think it's a good addition to the cast. Yeah. Definitely.
And then they
is almost the heart of the cast.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's so attractive about this show is that there's not a character here you really just don't like. It should be a case study for people that try to do shows here in America to actually invest that time into your story and develop your characters to where they do have a personality and they're not just all repeating snarky lines.
Right.
Because it's every one of these people is different and they all have little things that you can be like, oh, I don't like that part of them, but they also have something that really draws you to each one of them. And again, and kind of we'll get into the discussion when I get to it later on anime is that people want to write these kind of storylines off because it's Japanese animation.
Right.
It's like, you haven't watched it. If you're not going to watch it and you don't want to try it, then don't criticize it.
Well, I mean, and then there are people who like look at the visage of the evil eye, like just that kind of turns some people off just because it's so like just out of the ordinary.
But then they'll go watch something that comes at 8 o'clock on CBS that is 3 times more offensive to me. So pick your offense, I guess.
But one of the good character decisions about having the evil eye inhabit Gigi is it's a complete opposite. It's almost like the opposite side of the coin. Like it's the evil eye character is nothing like Gigi.
Oh yeah,
and they kind of play into that in this season. But in this first, this will be the 3rd episode. He just tries to kill Momo and Okura, and that's pretty much what his desire is.
After he possesses him, it all kind of goes underground where this underground village is, or not even village, just stack of destroyed houses.
Stack of houses.
Stack of houses of the dead. They all kind of fight each other and the worm. Gigi, one of his things is like, because he's a big athlete and soccer kid, is that he manifests like this like psychic soccer ball that he kicks around as a weapon, and it's basically like his special weapon, his special fighting.
Outside of this arc, did they really bring that back in the season? I don't really recall it.
I don't know. I don't think he does later. I think it's really during this time when they're fighting the snake is where the ball's flying all over the place and stuff. And
it's cool vision.
They drive the worm away. The evil eye and Okura to fight. They get Momo out.
And part of the reason they want to get Momo out is they figure they need to get the worm out. And they need to like leave so the worm follows them.
Yes. Yeah. Because they kind of subdued the worm with not really with the help of the evil eye, just them all. Evil eye was fighting everything. He was fighting them, fighting the worm. So it kind of went into hiding for a second. They gave them a chance to get out. She does get out, and just thinks to set the house on fire.
Her escape. When I was watching it this time, I had the urge to see if you could calculate. All right, about how much does she weigh? About how much is that chair? I'd like to know the power of Okarun's legs to actually push that out like that.
If you haven't seen it, he basically puts her in a chair,
lays on his back
down, uses his legs, and just launches her with his legs. And then she gets close to the top, and then she uses like her psychic arms to grab and pull herself out.
I remember in the theater in that scene because she pushes with her psychic arms to kind of launch herself up, and then she barely makes it. That is such a wonderfully written and animated scene because you're, as the audience member, you're sitting there thinking, you have ghost arms, grab the ledge, and it gives you just enough time to think maybe she's not going to do it, but then she does. Yeah. It's great.
And I think somewhere in the course of that, I think there were flashbacks to her playing with Gigi, right? Where they're like he's showing her like a worm dried up on the ground.
Yeah.
And talking about how if it rains, they drive them out. And that's where she gets the whole idea of, if I set this thing on fire, the fire department will show up, and then we can soak the ground. And because it's like an earthworm, drive it out of the ground. And then if we can get it out of the ground where it's hard to fight, Then, while the sun, this is during the daytime. If we can do it before the sun goes down, then the sun will dry it up, and that's what she does. The really doesn't work out with the fire department like she thinks, but because they're trying to put the house out, the water is just pouring down into the ground anyway, and so that does work kind of accidentally. Comes out and he doesn't dry up in the sun, and then like I think during the when they first went underground, the whole Keto family was there together. The worm took them.
They ate them.
You thought like, well, they're gone.
Yep.
When he gets back up there, he throws all of them back up. So,
Yeah.
And then the worm itself dies and
It dries up in the sun.
instantly, as the Ketos warned, the volcano goes off because they killed the worm that was keeping the volcano at bay.
They were very upset.
Yeah. And then the fourth episode is kind of where it goes from maybe a little less serious into. I have a list of comedy things I want to kind of just talk about in a group, so I won't go into all that.
Fourth episode is called "That's Like Way Deadly."
I don't know that I paid that much attention to the episode titles, but fourth episode is just complete chaos. Momo is like, she's trying to carry the worm around to use it like a hose, and she's just like running with this worm. All people are chasing her
because the when the worm died, it started expelling this pus,
muddy water,
pus, goo or something, and she's using that to cool down the lava flow so it doesn't destroy the village.
Yeah. While that's going on, Seiko, who is Momo's grandma, the hot grandma with the white hair,
which I've decided after this season that she is like the fan service distraction.
Oh yeah.
They're like, okay, we know people are gonna draw whatever on the internet. Let's give them someone to draw. I think that's what her purpose is. Visually, anyway.
She's got a lot of visual purpose in the show.
a lot of visual purpose.
Okay. But she shows up with the mannequin from the first season. That screaming like mannequin thing is still one of my favorite things I've ever seen animated. I think you see him earlier. I kind of skipped him. There's a little priest in a shrine in the town that had like this little like shriveled up.
It was a shriveled up worm, yeah.
But he actually is somebody that's trained under Psycho or Seiko.
Yeah,
Seiko.
Ayase. That's how they call her Ayase in the show mostly, I think.
It's just this massive fight. The Mr. Manus, the Dover demon, the shrimp guy, shows up.
Yeah, that was insane. I didn't expect to see that guy. I didn't expect to see him or the mannequin back.
When the mannequin appears, is one of the things I just love about this show, and it's seriously one of the only things I've watched anytime in the last year that makes me laugh out loud. They just put a spotlight on him, and then like they're playing the Lone Ranger theme because he's getting ready to start running. So there's this massive fight with their kind of, the fights are awesome in the show. It's one of the cool things about anime is it's worth watching the fights.
They're not constricted by like physical limitations.
Yeah,
they can get literally any shot they want, any distortions.
You don't have to send it off to a studio to CGI for 6 months. You just draw it,
or physically have the camera like okay, you're gonna punch past the camera. Yeah, no, just draw what they want.
The Dover Demon. I don't know if that's the way to call him, Mr. Manus.
Yeah.
Shrimp dude, whatever. Pick your title. Because he's from outer space, he's there in his UFO. He uses the UFO to move the snake that's basically a giant fire hose. So
he takes it from Momo because at this point they're fighting the family.
Yeah. And then Psycho. How do we say that? Psycho. I'll say it 18 different ways now. She uses Taro, which is the name of the mannequin, to capture and contain Evil Eye.
Oh yeah, because the Evil Eye shows up and starts beating everybody up.
Yeah, so they basically, she puts a talisman, is that the right word?
On the inside,
little spirit paper on the inside of it, wraps him in the mannequin, and like he's trapped. So they kind of wraps up that arc. They put out the fire, they killed the snake. The family all gets arrested, the Keto family, except for the mom. And then they kind of go back to, I guess their next step is to how to deal with the Evil Eye.
Yeah.
Because they've got him stuck in the mannequin.
Now, is this when we find out what the Keto family actually is. This at
I
the
don't
end of this
remember.
episode, right?
It was actually at the end of the next one.
Oh, at the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is a good point, a good time to kind of illustrate the point you were making earlier about the writer calling back and making use of what is seemingly like the disparate elements that he's introducing.
Yeah.
Because like the mannequin, like did he know when he wrote season 1 that the mannequin was going to be used as a vessel to hold?
Either he's taking bumps of crack and has these creative bursts, or this dude has thought this thing out to a level that like I could not think out plotting out a story.
Like the Manus to me does kind of seem like a MacGuffin. He's an alien. We can make him do whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of seems like a MacGuffin to me. But the specificity of the mannequin. Okay, mannequins are hollow.
He gets blown up several times when they're trying to contain the evil eye, and it's like the perfect thing to use because like he just takes a punch, pieces go everywhere, the pieces all get back together, and he reforms into a mannequin. And
that just seems to me that seems too specific of a use to not have. That's what they wanted to use it for.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be amazing. It'd be great to know because that's one of the things writers have to deal with. I guess is like, well, how far out do you plan your story?
As somebody that tries to be creative, I'd like to think
I'd
like to think that there are people out there that are working on that level of genius,
mm-hmm.
and that there are truly people that have gifts from God that are using them or have found their way to use them. And
really, the only thing I know about the way he constructed the story is when he was trying to find an idea for an anime or a manga, rather, he was just literally shoving different things that he liked together.
Yeah. So just sketching. Didn't somebody tell him he said he had a writer's block, and he said, "Well, stop writing.
Yeah, just
draw."
Yeah.
And he just started drawing things, and I think that's how you ended up with a Flatwoods monster head on a sumo wrestler in the first one, and
mm-hmm.
all these other things. Is he sat down and have you ever seen a teenager's sketchbook? Like an artistic kid and flip through that? Just one. Maybe get some holy water before you do. But if you see the things that kind of go through really creative kids' minds when they're sketching things out, there is some genius there. There's also some very frightening things there. But, I'm sure it's probably the case with this guy. There's probably some things that haven't worked their way into the show that you're like, well, let's not do that.
Right. So the next episode is when they're dealing with the evil eye. It's called We Can All Stay There Together.
And this is just where they're trying to figure out how to contain the evil eye because the evil eye is going to be getting stronger. They don't know how long they can keep him trapped inside the mannequin.
And they say that he's getting used to like the spells that are keeping him locked in.
Yes.
So there's a indeterminate amount of time that he can be trapped in there and he'll break free.
And this is where I thought the show kind of shifted gears up another level in comedy stuff. I don't know how many times I was not drinking coffee while I was doing the show because I was fully aware that at the wrong time I could take coffee all over myself. So they do like the prayer ceremony, which I had on my comedy stuff, and he just they're doing all these like kind of formal prayers and stuff, and then they just open the mask to see, and
I'm still here.
His mask. He's like, I want to murder her. I'm still here. And they just close it back on.
I will kill you all. Okay, that was pretty funny.
All that stuff just had me rolling, and they basically kind of. Oh, this is where Ira comes back.
He's
the girl.
Yes, Ira.
He was also the Acro Silky, which we'll get to that in a minute. She comes back. That's kind of the first time she comes back into this season and joins them all. This is at Momo in her grandma's house. And they kind of through, I guess by accident, kind of figure out that hot and cold can contain or bring out the evil eye.
It's cold. Cold water brings him out. Hot subdues him.
They like they're having dinner and passing those bottles of soy sauce back and forth, and like I think there's a drop that falls from it the first time and it misses him, and then the second time they pass it back and it hits him in the arm, and then like the whole house just explodes because he comes out. It's just so funny. So because Seiko has all these spiritual connections to different people. She's been on all these shows and things like that. And she invites Hayashi, and Hayashi are basically
Metal band.
Traditionally, they're a band. They're the music band that plays in the Kabuki theater. But in the form that it comes into this show, they're like British guys. They're like dressed like Kabuki guys that play heavy metal. Which again, disclaimer: we're not on drugs. We're just reporting on what we saw.
That really did seem to come out of left field, but it offered cool visual.
And the whole idea was that you could almost exorcise demons and spirits out of people's bodies with kind of luring them out with music. So it's a different approach to like an exorcism than what you see in sort of like the Catholic based exorcism stuff that we see.
Interesting. I don't know. I didn't think of this at the time, but the idea that music, it has a spiritual side, that it can bring out spirits and stuff like that. Sinners had that kind of same theme as well.
Yeah,
I like that concept.
I've said it before. I don't know if I've said it here or talking with you or talking with somebody else. I kind of lose track of myself these days about how I used music back when I was doing a lot more athletic things, running long distance and stuff like that. And there was probably some times in races where I was running people down that I was probably humming themes to music as I was passing people.
I think you've mentioned that in one of our episodes.
I'm sure they were like hearing something behind them, like, what is that? Turn around and just see me in the background, just like.
One thing Seiko did say is that this band, they're not mediums themselves. Like they don't interact with the spiritual world. Their music does.
Yeah.
And I really like the visual where they're playing their music and it shows like a graveyard and the headstones are kind of shaking and then the ghosts come out.
Yeah.
And it's like a ghost audience and they're like in a ghost arena. Awesome visual.
Yeah, no, there's so much that is just probably being sort of pushed aside in this show that I think is just pure genius. That because there's so much happening that people that watch things and scroll while they do it are probably missing parts of it even while they're watching it.
I'll admit there were a couple of times watching this season I stopped and I was like, I gotta watch it again. Yeah, because I wasn't paying 100% attention.
I rewound back just to get exactly how they said a few things because I was like, wow, that's kind of profound, and would back up just to hear him say it again.
And during the concert, Gigi the evil eye was pretty close to being exorcised.
He was about to be exorcised.
He was right there.
And Gigi begs them not to. Yeah. And again, I think it's kind of coming back to theirs.
He's like, I can be his friend.
Maybe more of a connection between them than Gigi realized. But he's kind of become friends with the spirit of this little sick child. I don't think he ever got the name of the sick kid.
I don't know.
I never saw it listed, but even that kind of shows something about Gigi too, that even he can become friends with this spirit that wants to kill humanity. That he still likes Gigi. So they stop the exorcism, leave the spirit inside of him, and they all just kind of agree to stay at the house to kind of guard against the evil eye, because you have to be careful that he doesn't get cold water on him. They have to arm themselves with thermoses of hot water so that if he does start to come out, they can try to pour it on him. And then I think it's in this episode where they kind of flash back over to Naki, who is the mom of the kiddos. And they show her. Right. I think maybe you see on the news or something that they arrested, or maybe on a paper that they'd arrested all the kiddos and all this stuff, and then they kind of go back to they're chasing her around in the woods, still trying to find her, and she's already broken an arm.
She sheds her skin.
Yeah, she rips her face off, and then she says she's a subterranean.
Yeah,
and it's this weird like steampunk
bug-looking
thing, and then
which I was happy about because I was the visage of the Keto family. They're just like gray, and you think they're zombies when they first show up.
Yeah. And
that makes sense if they're wearing like skin suits.
Yeah.
So like
not natural looking.
Yeah. Perhaps this is pure speculation, but like maybe they were people at one point and they got infected with like some sort of parasite from the worm or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was a very cool visual, and it helped make sense of the grayscan.
So you'll get. She kind of reveals herself, disappears, and that's the last you see of her this season. So you know that's coming back.
That was one of my thoughts at the end of the season. Like, what happened to her?
Yeah, no, there's no way that's not coming back later.
No, just not.
There wasn't room for it to fit into what they were doing in this one. So, and then you kind of get into there's this always in and out theme of the sort of the teen life thing. I always want to equate it just because of what I grew up with. Well, with the Wonder Years, where you're seeing all the little drama stuff, going on between kids at school, and somebody that's in love with somebody, and just how awkward it is at that age, and all that stuff. And this is like where Momo goes to work at the
maid cafe,
like a tea shop,
and the friends Kai and is it Mika?
Yeah, the two girls, the one really tanned one.
The Momo's friends drag Okarun to the maid cafe to kind of show him Momo. Great friends there.
Yeah. There's definitely all the mean girl stuff going on at the school, and the quiet girls and the jealousy between everybody.
I feel like that part of the episode was to really show us the relationship that's building between Momo and Okarun.
Yeah.
Because she does. It does come into play a little bit later because I mentioned her part-time job and the amount of money she makes and stuff like that. Yeah. But apart from just showing that Momo, it feels vulnerable with Okarun seeing her like that, in the maid outfit. I'm guessing she's embarrassed or something.
Yeah,
and I think that's what that is doing, is for the audience, is showing us that the building of that relationship.
It's the situation that's there, I guess, at every high school and every school anywhere across the world, is that Momo, her friends are always ragging on her because she doesn't have enough money to even have a phone.
Right.
But then there's rich kids that have everything, and there's kids that have kind of in the middle that have a phone and have the little things that their parents get them, and then there's the kids that just don't have anything, and that's why she's going to work there. Is like she wants money for the house, and her grandma won't buy her phone.
Yeah,
and those are real struggles that I'm sure a lot of people in Southwest Virginia know.
Oh yeah,
you go visit somebody in Northern Virginia, and you're like, oh wow, y'all have BMWs and iPhones.
Right.
I'm driving a 1982 Toyota.
At this point, a 1982 Toyota might be worth more than a newer car.
But I think it's back at the house that Ira spills that she's got like a little bobo tea. She spills it on Gigi, and then he attacks Momo.
And he traps Momo in one of the spirit cubes that he makes.
And she actually had a mouthful of hot water that she was able, because she couldn't use her hands, sprayed it on her, or spit the hot water back out on him and turned him back. And it really makes Okarun, it upsets him, and he wants to get stronger so he can defend Momo, because they're showing too that he's in love with her. And
he Turbo Granny sees that he's trying to get stronger. He's like reading a book and he's trying to learn how to punch.
Yeah.
That's his idea. And Turbo Granny asks him, well, do you want to learn to punch?
Or do you want
to be stronger? Because those are two different things.
He even goes and visits the Dover Demon, who's working on a cattle farm.
Yeah.
Because disclaimer time again, not doing anything. The Dover Demon shrimp alien is back here on Earth because they gave him a cow in the first season to take back, because they need their blood is basically cow's milk, right?
Yeah, their blood is cow's milk. Yeah.
They got there back on their planet where they all live underwater and found out that they can't milk a cow underwater.
Which is funny. That's something you think the audience would kind of think about at the time. They're like, well, this is a shrimp person. It makes sense.
So they have to come back, and he kind of puts on a fake face, so he looks like this really big-headed guy, and goes to work on a cattle farm, and brings his little son back with him. Got it written down over here somewhere. It's like Chiquita, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's Chiquita. Chiquita. I can't say it. Chiquita Tita. But he brings his little shrimp baby back.
Yeah, Chiquita Tita.
There's an extra syllable in there that just my brain won't put those together. Sees the Dover Demon. thinks that maybe because he's basically like a boxing shrimp, that the shrimp can teach him how to fight. And that's when the granny that's trapped in the little cat body is like just explaining to him how slow he is, and that
I really like the visual, the gag when he goes to see the mantis and he asks him for help, and there's just this mountain, this huge mountain of like, it looks like cement bags. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be. It might be like feed bags or something.
It was probably
feed. They're just bags, and he's like, well, we need to move these from here to there, and Okarun's like, well, then you'll teach me, right? And he's like, well, no, we need to move those from. We need to do this. And so Okarun helps him move all these bags, and then he's like, no, I'm not going to help you. Okay, great. Thanks.
Maybe it's the shrimp on another level there, teaching him, making him work out.
That is actually kind of what I thought it was. It was like a Mr. Miyagi kind of thing, wax on, wax off.
Yep. And then the cat explains to him that he doesn't have the rhythm to fight, that he should be faster than everybody because he actually has Turbo Granny's skills, but he thinks and moves slower than Acro Silky and then from Evil Eye. And then she takes him to this classroom.
Hang on, before we
get there.
The episode 7 is called Feeling Kind of Gloomy, and that is where Okarun's feeling sad because he can't protect Momo. And I just want to say before we get into it, the next episode is probably one of the most unhinged episodes I've ever seen. I haven't watched all anime, obviously, but this when you texted me, this guy had to be on drugs. This is the episode when I was like, yeah, this guy had to be on drugs.
Yeah, it takes him to a classroom there back at the high school at nighttime, is it? Okay, that's after this.
Yeah, you can do it. Okarun is the name of the episode, which is an interesting name for this particular episode, where they're at they break into the school, and Ira follows them because you're doing something wrong, and I'm gonna police you essentially.
Yeah.
And they end up in like a music studio where Turbo Granny's using the piano to say, okay, this is your tempo. And she's like, doon, doon, doon. And this is the Evil Eye tempo, doon, 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 doon. And to kind of give him an audio and visual understanding of how he's not fast enough.
Then spirits of like Beethoven and Bach and like some opera guys. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody that knows classical music could go through the faces of all those and know exactly who all of them are. Giant headed.
Yeah, they're like bobbleheads.
They're like mascots at like a college football game, but they all have the heads of like composers. Show up and start launching notes at him that explode to make him and somehow another he uses that as training to figure out a rhythm to fight with and how to be faster and how to react faster and all that stuff. Probably the one part of the show that I was like, I didn't like how it tied into stuff. I thought it was too random, honestly. We'll come back to that. But the through all of the chaos of that episode, Okarun does learn his fighting rhythm and stuff and gets to where he is at least on the same ground as Evil Eye, if not even faster. And then he goes and fights Evil Eye. And I don't have this broken down by the episode. I was just kind of doing it by events.
One of the things that I thought about during this episode before we move on to the next episode is it made me think about like, okay, well, in this world, how do spirits work? Because when it's like, okay, it's an alien, he comes from outer space, comes to Earth, that's fine. If it's a cryptid, okay, cryptids are usually like regional kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Turbo Granny was in the tunnel. Okay. But these are composers from Europe.
They just fly around the world, and when somebody plays bad music, they get angry and start attacking.
Like, are they are they transient or they got me wondering about that.
Or did the Turbo Granny cat
summon them?
Call them there called in a favor to help train him or something.
Possibly.
There wasn't enough explanation with that one. It was just random stuff thrown at you, and I was like, wow, this is something.
But I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason these themes and somehow come back later with the music notes and getting attacked by the music notes, because this episode really addressed one of my complaints about the first season, where I didn't like it that Ira got power and all of a sudden she was better than Okarun.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on, what's up with that? He's got some more experience under his belt.
Yeah.
And I always felt like Okarun was a bit underpowered when it comes to fights, because Momo's formidable.
Really, probably the thing that's been neglected the most in the series is some kind of arc, underlying storyline stuff of them training with these powers they have to get better with them. There's been a little bit of that, but
well, like with Momo, which this makes sense. She Psycho had been, since she was a child, been training her. You know, like with the little L on her head and stuff like that.
Yeah, doing a lot of working on her chi and
yeah. So she had a lot of core training before she actually gained her power. So that Momo, Momo being really powerful makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, Okarun only gets his power, and that's like the first time he ever has any kind of connection with spiritual beings or anything like that. So going back to, did he think all this out? If he did, well done.
The composer stuff feels to me more like this just popped into his head and he put it in. But maybe he surprised me before, so maybe he'll surprise me again that this will come back around somehow. I kind of felt that way about the mannequin, and the last thing is like we had this little arc with the mannequin, and
I thought we'd never see that thing.
That would be done, and that's going to be part of that. He's one of the team, so it's just always going to be there. I don't know if Beethoven will join the team or not. Doesn't seem to really fit with the rest of the stuff. But.
Well, I mean, if you had told me that there was a anime that had things like the Loch Ness monster and ghosts from tunnels, and I would have been like, none of that meshes well, but yeah, he does it.
So he comes back and he does fight the Evil Eye, fights Gigi in the Evil Eye form. Evil Eye loves to fight, so
he loves to kill.
Yes, yeah. Okarun basically kicks his tail, but like Evil Eye's like, this was awesome. Yeah. Like, I want to do this all the time. Must fight. So they basically, Okarun kind of, I guess, was kind of thinking this through in the process before he fought him too.
I think so. I think he went in with a plan.
That came to an agreement with Evil Eye that they can fight to the death, but only every Tuesday. Only every Tuesday.
After school.
And you can't attack anybody else. Just have to save it for then. And the Evil Eye's like, he agrees to it. So
that's almost a trope. Finally, someone who's worthy of my power. That's almost a trope. I've seen that kind of thing in other media.
Kind of sets it up to where, because he does beat him pretty soundly when they fight this time, because he's so fast and he's like doing the like super fast like uppercuts and stuff like that. And he bloodies Evil Eye, kind of tears him up. I guess he kind of sets it up to, like, you want to do that again? You have to do it on these conditions, and he's like, okay. So that becomes the established relationship for Evil Eyes, that he won't attack anybody else as long as he gets to get together with Okarun and fight every Tuesday after school.
And it's kind of explained that the way Evil Eye's psyche is that his mindset is that he views, when he's killing people because of his rage, he gets the satisfaction of play.
Yeah.
So like it's satisfying his rage from being neglected all those years, but it's also giving him the satisfaction of what he wanted as a child, seeing those little kids play outside, which is great.
After this fight and the stuff that's happened previous to it, Seiko's house is destroyed. Manus shows up and just is like,
I want to rebuild the house. That's the entire episode, rebuilding the house.
It shows up and shows them. Excuse me. That
what was that guy's name? That he brings?
Oh, the others.
Yeah, Mantis brings somebody.
Looks like the Minecraft guy.
Yeah, he looks like Steve from Minecraft with a anteater head.
But he basically shows them that there's like this nanotechnology that the aliens have.
Ludris is his name.
Ludris. I think I saw that in one of the credits. I couldn't figure out which one Ludris was. But that's Ludris. That there was these squares that you can just basically manipulate and shape them into anything you want to. So they use that to rebuild the whole house.
Yep. That whole thing with the cubes I doubt he had this in mind, but it reminded me of the mother boxes from DC.
Okay.
Because like the mother, the character Cyborg,
Yeah.
like that's what he's made of. He's made of mother boxes,
Okay.
and mother boxes can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, it's like basically while you're holding them, whatever you imagine it, you can shape it into it.
Like clay.
Yeah.
Like putty.
So they rebuild the whole house, and then because Evil Eye is made his agreement, they get back to school, and
Oh, that's right.
that was hilarious all by itself. But it's just kind of more of him turning into Evil Eye and them trying to find
while they're at school,
trying to find hot drinks and hot food to calm him back down, and him sitting in the back of the classroom like
all the hot drinks are out of the vending machine. There's none left.
He's like, I want to kill, and the teachers are like, shut up. Just
and I find it hilarious how the students were like, "What's wrong with Gigi? How do you even know that's him? It looks nothing like him. He's got white hair and a big glowing thing in the middle of his forehead."
I guess that kind of comes back to what you'll see kind of in the next part with the kaiju is that when there's spirit stuff happening, I think it's just happening in like this like sort of enclosed spirit world.
It gets isolated from reality
because when they do that in that first season when they fight with the shrimp and the Loch Ness monster, it's in the class like while everybody's there.
Yeah.
When they finally break out of it and end the fight, they come back to the normal world and they're just sitting in their classroom naked. Nobody knows that fight even took place. So.
It kind of reminds me of this anime I saw years ago, and it's been a long time, so I don't know if I've got this completely right, but it's called X. And in it, they would have these battles, and there would be this cube that would form in like a city area, and that would be their battle area.
Yeah.
And
either I've heard of that or you told me about that before.
I might have mentioned it on
our first episode.
And that's really what it reminds me of because it like isolates that area and like prevents lasting damage.
So I was just assuming that he looks like Gigi to everybody else.
Okay.
But he's still walking.
Okay, that would make sense.
He's still walking around like, I want to kill you.
Yeah.
And
he tells a gaggle of girls that are like, Gigi, how are you? Where have you been? He turns into the evil eye. He's like, I want to slaughter you all. And we're like, what?
But back at school, they hear one of the girls, talk about an apartment that there is a golden nut.
Yep.
And just for a reminder, that's kind of the basis of this whole series is that when Okarun was possessed by Turbo Granny.
And the thing Turbo Granny wanted were like the genitals. That's like what Turbo Granny desires.
So he lost his nuts and they took the shape of like these little golden
orbs.
Balls, and they found one of them in season 1, got it back. And now, but there's still one missing, and kind of through everything up to this point, I think you even asked, is like, we were texting at one point, it's like,
did they ever find the second one?
They ever find the other nut? It was like, about the time you did that, I think the next episode I watched was like, oh,
there it is.
Here's the nut.
Yeah.
So you learn about that. There's a lot more of like the sort of young teen romance angst stuff.
Well, this is when we're introduced to.
I was going to say it's when you meet Kenta.
Yeah, Kenta. Now, this was one of those episodes where like I restarted the episode. So I was like, am I missing something? Like, we've seen this before. Like, I didn't get right away that it was a flashback.
Yeah.
And we were just seeing things from his perspective. Specifically, it was when Okarun was walking and he saw Momo and he was like, oh, I shouldn't say anything. And he was like nervous around her. And I'm like, dude, she's been fighting over you with Ira. I mean, how do you not know that she likes you?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until they were sitting on the benches aside from each other, and then they walk into each other. I was like, oh, this is a flashback, because I was trying to remember. I was like, is this exactly what happened last time, or are they just showing us like maybe narratively how they're back?
I thought for a second too that it was getting back to that too. I'm like, I thought that was kind of weird, but it was like you're seeing that scene where they're lost.
Exactly.
They talk about that sometimes, that you can be in a room with somebody and it's like the person you've looked for your whole life is sitting across from you, and you just never even see each other and you never find each other. And then sometimes that you could be in Tokyo and New York, and two people that are meant to be together crash into each other in an airport. I mean, it's just
Yeah, I was really thinking that what they were saying with those scenes were like they're back into their old routine.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff has happened. Well, now they're back to regular
This was-
life, but that's not what it was.
This was
It was
him.
introducing
Kenta. Basically, Kenta's been stalking them
Yeah.
from the beginning of this thing, and he's jealous of Okarun.
because he talks to the pretty girls.
And he's a science kind of nerd too. He reads a lot of conspiracy magazines and robot anime and stuff like that. And
He seems to be like Okarun seems to be more into like conspiracy theories, and this guy seems to be more like a
Tech.
Trekkie.
yeah,
Yeah,
and-
he's.
but he's
Do they call themselves otaku? Yeah, otaku.
they might.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, I'm just saying in the culture.
Oh yeah.
I think he's more of an otaku than Okarun is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's kind of comical. Probably, I think it was probably miscast because the voice doesn't. I watched the dub. The Japanese version of Kenta is much better. But he's kind of a chubby, kind of dorky looking kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe as a defense thing, he's kind of convinced himself that he's much better looking than Okarun, and he's always posing and combing his hair and looking at himself and all this stuff. So
He is like if you were to put this in American culture, he's that meme of the guy, the heavyset guy with the fedora. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah. But he, in this whole sort of flashback thing and him stalking them, follows them up to present day where they're going to the apartment building to investigate where the nut went. And they find it, and it seems like it's flying around invisible.
As he's following them, he hears them talking about Okarun's testicle, and he gets it in his head.
He thinks that the secret to getting hot girls is to talk about spicy things.
Spicy talk.
So he keeps on like saying things that are kind of like about just like body parts and stuff, and they're like, "Get away, creep!"
What do you call it?
I did
10 gallon member or something like that.
My brain may have pushed that out. I was just like,
I'm assuming it's a reference to like a 10-gallon hat.
Yeah.
But yeah. So because of that, Momo gives him the nickname Perv.
Yeah.
So
it
that's
took me a while to
unfortunate for
figure out.
him.
It took me a while to figure out what his name actually was because they were
Because
just
she kept calling him Perv.
calling him Perv. I was like, is that going to be his name for the show?
That's what Momo keeps calling. So yes.
They see like the nut basically just floating by itself, and then they, through kind of his help too, they see that there's light reflection happening. So there's actually something that's masking itself, cloaking itself.
He realizes it's optical camouflage, and
that
we all know what that is at this point.
That there's something else that has this nut inside of it.
Yeah.
And so they fight that. They finally like catch this thing and knock it out, and it falls down to the ground, and then it becomes visible again. And when you see it, it's like a 6-foot tall space kaiju that looks like Godzilla.
And when I saw that, I went, "Oh, Joel's gonna love this."
Yeah.
Yeah. The next two, before we get into it, the next two episodes. What are those? Your favorite episodes of the series?
Well, I don't know. I have to go back and kind of process the whole thing and think about it. I can't.
Definitely fan services towards your.
I can't not like
proclivities.
If episodes I go back and watch again and again, the one that's going to make me laugh the most is still going to be them chasing the mannequin in the first thing.
Right.
That came so far out of left field that that's probably my favorite so far. You have to kind of be careful treading into the Godzilla territory for me to do it right, and they did fine. They did fine. This was definitely a hybrid.
They can do it wrong.
Not so much do it wrong. It's just I like what they did here is because they didn't really try to do one thing. It was kind of a hybrid of multiple things.
Right. And they said he's like an electric type, and the idea is the kaiju starts to grow.
Yeah, they start fighting him regular size, and he just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger
quickly.
And then he goes to like Godzilla size, and they're all just fleeing. They try to run back home.
They said something along the lines of like the power he was using for the optical camouflage. He was using like when he gets bigger, he doesn't have that anymore, or something like that.
Yeah, and it had to be. If it's electrical, there has to be a source for it. And I think they were trying to sort of figure out what that was, but he he becomes this thing that's kind of it's definitely a nod to all of the Toho
Oh yeah.
monster guys. Kind of looks a little bit like Godzilla, but he's got some horns and he shoots an electric kind of attack out, sort of like Ghidorah.
Oh, okay.
There's multiple guys through Gamera and Ultraman that do the same kind of thing too. So it was kind of a nice hybrid nod to all of those things. But they basically just start running from it and get back to Seiko's house where they have all the nano blocks, and they get the nano blocks where you can form anything. And Kinta imagines a giant robot because he's into all the tech stuff, and I think he's into Gundams and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a show during, or there's a scene during, I think the next episode. No, it's this episode where it shows him like holding the box of Gundams and kids making fun of him because you still buy Gundam, which I found interesting. This is one of the reasons I've always enjoyed anime, is it gives you a very small glimpse into the culture of the Japanese culture.
Yeah, like it gives you some backstory on him too, which you work it in something that's just second long scenes to let you know that this kid is another type of kid that's out there. He's a kid that's into toys, doesn't have a lot of friends, gets bullied by other people, so he kind of focuses on that stuff that gives him something to enjoy and to kind of protect himself a little bit. And,
well, here in America, Gundam specifically is like a hobby of adults.
Yeah, because it's too expensive
for children. It's too expensive for children. But like over there, the kids were making fun of him for still buying Gundam, and he's a teenager. And so I just think that was a cool little glimpse into that culture.
But he comes up with the idea that they're going to make this robot so they can fight the thing. So he kind of sucks everybody into it. But I guess he's not thinking that anybody that's touching the nanoblocks, their input helps form it.
Yeah. And
Momo's input ends up making it look like a giant
Buddha. It gave me kind of like I'm not sure if he, like with the mother boxes, if the writer intended to kind of emulate the mother boxes, but the giant Buddha gave me Spaceballs vibes.
That's Mega Made.
Yeah, Mega Made.
But yeah, they turn into this giant Buddha, and then they fight and finally defeat the space kaiju.
I did think while during this episode when they were because at first they were having trouble controlling it, and it was one of those things where like when the house turned into the Buddha robot, and they just kept calling it giant robot. We were saying how we kind of wish they gave it some name, like Buddhatron or something like that.
You would have thought that Kinta would have just come up with a name,
something cool.
Yeah,
but they all got kind of pulled into separate parts of the robot.
It really became Voltron.
Voltron, yeah.
Where you had like somebody in all the extremities.
Yeah, and you'd see like different screens with them. Yeah, Evil Eye was mad that he was enclosed. I mean, it's right away that Okaroon gets ejected because they all push a button because they don't know how to move this giant machine they're all in now. You had Kinta in his little space with the manual, and they had like a little string of these nanobots. So the manual itself was created by the nanobots, which I thought was interesting. And he's trying to figure out how to control this giant robot. And they all just decide, let's just press a button together, just one of the buttons. And yeah, I think it ejects Momo and the Evil Eye, right? No, the Evil Eye escapes.
Yeah,
after it gets destroyed, he breaks out. It ejects.
When they push all the buttons, like it drops a hand.
Yeah, a hand falls off.
It ejects somebody. It shoots like a rocket out one side.
Yeah, Okaroon gets ejected.
Everybody's button does something different. Yeah. It all just goes crazy.
And then Kinta realizes that, well, in order to control the robot, you just have to use your will because the nanomachines react to your will.
Yeah. So
they just kind of imagine what they wanted to do, and it does that.
And it combines with their powers, like it can use,
which I thought was a really cool, like
Akira Silky's basic thing is like
the hair
that she can just extend forever and use it to like wrap people up or to attack people. She uses that from inside the robot, so it has like nano Akira Silky hair that it can wrap up the kaiju with, and all kinds of stuff like that.
There's like giant Momo arms.
Yeah, that's
ghost
right.
arms.
Yeah, because at one point, like the Buddha is there, and then there's like the little psychic Momo arms out to the fists, so it like even can reach further and stuff.
There's one scene that I like replayed a couple of times that I just enjoyed the way they framed it. We were talking about how earlier we were talking about how you can do things with cameras or the virtual camera, and you have the robot like in the background, and he's got the kaiju by the tail, and he's just swinging him around. And there's just this one frame that I just giggle at, where the kaiju's like in this like curve, and it's just the face of the kaiju right up against the camera, and so he's like, "Urgh." I just love that. Love that frame.
So they fight it, finally defeat it. This is going across the city and out to the countryside where it looks like everything's being destroyed, and it kind of comes back to that cube thing, like you're saying.
I feel like once they kind of figured out how to use the robot, they made short work of the kaiju.
Yeah. They basically just take him up and like power slam him down and just knock it out. And as soon as they do, that whole spirit realm breaks, and then they're right there in the middle of the city inside this robot. And like everybody's there like what? Freaking out, and they're all taking pictures of it and stuff, and they're trying to figure out how to get back.
Quick, turn back into a house is what they say.
So it tries to start like turning into a house, but it still has like a Buddha arm hanging down from it, and half of it's shaped like a UFO, and it starts kind of flying, and people are like, it's a UFO, it's a robot, and it's got arms. But Okaroon and Gigi are outside of it because Gigi fought his way out.
Yeah, Gigi, as the evil eye, busted out.
And Okaroon just got launched out of it. Yeah. So they come back and they find the
little 6-foot kaiju.
It's actually visible again.
Yeah.
So everybody's there taking pictures of it. They just throw it on their shoulders and just start running. And like this whole crowd of people are like chasing them, and you can see them all start to just, because Okaroon and I guess he are both in good shape. They kind of start just trailing off one at a time because they're all fat and out of shape.
They don't. They like. It is Gigi. It's not the evil eye at this point.
Yeah.
And it is Okaroon. He doesn't go to change to Turbo Granny.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You would thought that could have played into it.
I guess that's another part that they don't develop that much in it. You do see that a lot with Okaroon, where he has his shirt off and stuff. That like he's become muscular.
He is getting more powerful.
Pretty good shape for a little nerdy kid, anyway. At least. But anyway, they run all the way back and basically outrun this crowd of people that are chasing them all the way back into the countryside, back to Seiko's house, carrying this big monster.
Yeah, they want to get it inside the property line of the house because of the protections that Ayase had put up.
And I think he thinks
Seiko Ayase.
He looks inside of it, I guess, thinking that this thing still has the nut inside.
They're looking for the nut.
And when he sees inside, he sees a zipper, and he's like, "Wow, what's that?" And so he reaches in and he pulls the zipper down. It turns out it's just like it's a suit, which again I thought was a perfect nod to Godzilla because that's basically some of the really mid-70s cheesy Godzilla stuff. You can see, the one where the movie where they're on, I think it's Destroy All Monsters, where they're on Planet X. Mm-hmm. And it's got that iconic sort of Godzilla where he's jumping back and forth like that, jumping up and down. You can see like the zipper line all the way down.
That's great.
Like it's not even disguised.
See, that's funny that you thought Godzilla, because my brain went to Gleipnir. That one anime where the guy turns into like a mascot suit and someone gets into him.
Might very well know Gleipnir.
Maybe, yeah.
I would say that very few people outside of me and you and him probably know that.
That's definitely one of those animes. I'm like, this is so great, and I had him watching. He's like, it's weird. This is weird.
Yeah. But they unzip the thing, and then it reveals like mystery girl. Yeah. There's this girl inside with green hair, and she's got like 2 little antennas.
Kind of looks like evokes Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy.
And then they're sitting there kind of.
Her name is Bamora.
Yeah, I've tried to not read about it. I got into the Wikipedia stuff, and because the manga has gone beyond this, they have stories about all that. So if you don't want to spoil it, don't peruse through that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wiki now, and I just wanted to have the character names and stuff. And there's a lot of characters that you haven't seen yet. Yeah, you just have the manga face.
Yeah.
So they definitely.
So don't go to the wiki and look stuff up because it'll spoil it if you're just following the show. But
I don't know what 90% of this is. So.
But they show this girl, kind of cute girl, green hair. Like I said, I hadn't really thought about that. Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. you don't really see anything happen other than them kind of reacting to her laying there kind of knocked out. Then the next scene, Momo comes out of the house and she's got like one of the nano blocks, I guess, because they're trying to get the house back together from it being Buddha Robot Tron, whatever. And she sees this mystery girl kissing Okarun on the mouth there and full of lip lock. And she squeezes the block and the house just blows up. And that's the end of the show.
When she squeezes the block, it looks like a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where they leave us. So they leave us, as much as the first season left you on a hanger with
this is definitely a hanger.
Her being choked out in the spa. You're like, you're seriously going to leave us there? That's where they left us this time. So hopefully a little bit more concise run through of that show than the first time, because I know the first time we went pretty deep into each episode.
Well, we're about an hour and a half, so.
Yeah. But the I guess the next thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, which is kind of going back to the cryptids and the monsters on this, because I think it's a lot of interesting research and lore that kind of goes into this show, and it adds to my enjoyment of the show to know that this guy's not just, I know he is throwing stuff at the wall, but it's pretty, if that's really how he makes this show, he's just got some genius in there that just is at work constantly. I think it's more planned out than it seems like.
I think it's probably, he probably has an overarching idea of like what cryptids he wants to include and stuff like that.
So Mongolian deathworm, something I'd never heard of.
I just wanted to say, let you know that the last 3 episodes, episode 10 was The Secret Art of Being Attractive.
That's Quinta.
That's Quinta wanting to know how to talk to pretty girls.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a kaiju. Perfect.
That's a valid name.
Perfect name for the episode with the kaiju.
That episode does build to that name correctly, because you're fighting like this invisible thing the whole time, and you have no idea why they can't stop, why the ball's flying around, what's controlling it.
They can't get to it.
Then they kind of knock it down. It's like, oh, it's a kaiju.
Yeah. And then Clash, space kaiju versus giant robot.
If only they come up with a better name for giant robot.
Right.
If it had been King Buddha.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised the kind of personality Quinta has. I'm surprised he didn't name it after himself.
Yeah. Quinta Buddha.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But we're going to talk about the Mongolian space, the Mongolian worm, the death worm.
Mongolian death worm was kind of one of those things I was thinking, is that even a thing? And yes, it is.
Being a fan of Dune, I just think, sandworms is almost like a ubiquitous thing. A giant worm is just a ubiquitous thing in media.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that it was actually based on an actual myth, but
it's a legend that comes from the Gobi Desert. And in the legend, it does what it does in this. It can spit venom, and it can emit electric shocks, almost like an electric eel, and shock people. Okay. And it actually does that in the show. It poisons people when they're at the house with the Keto family and all that stuff. And then while they're fighting it, it shocks them multiple times. So he drew that from the tale of that. And the whole idea that basically the summary of what I've come up with on that is that was just kind of a cautionary tale that they used to say in areas like the Gobi Desert to tell like kids and stuff like that, just letting them know that if you go out into the danger or out into the desert, everything out there is dangerous and it's probably going to poison you.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a cautionary tale is what they used the Mongolian death worm as a vehicle for that. Now into Japanese culture, there is a Tsukunoko,
Tsukunoko,
I think Tsuko, that is a yokai, so it's a spirit, and it is a 1 to 3 foot long snake-like ghost.
Okay.
That the one little hand drawing I saw of it shows it's like a snake on the both ends of it, and in the middle is like this big fat like block. It's like it almost looks like a party favor or something. But in the legend of that thing, it can speak. It has a propensity to lie, and it likes alcohol.
Oh, all right.
But it's like as recently as 1988, there was a small prefecture, and I did not write it down. I think it was like Nado or somewhere like that. That people had been reporting sightings of it, and they actually set a reward for anybody that could get proof of it. So they spent like a year trying to like find this thing, and people finding snake skins and be like, I found it, I got proof. So it was actually like a real thing. I guess 1988 is it's recent for us.
Yeah.
It's before a lot of people that are watching anime were born, but and of course, they never found anything. But it was kind of interesting that it was kind of a mix of those two things. And again, I would think the author of this thing has to have spent a lot of time just as a hobby researching, reading about cryptids and yokai and ghosts and demons and stuff like that to be able to pull all this stuff into something the way that he has. I think he's got a lot of background in that stuff. Definitely you can see from the pictures and stuff that we have that the ideas of this, I don't know what inspired what. It's definitely inspiration for like the worms in Dune, or in Tremors, or even the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. It's the same kind of imagery, and it's kind of probably one of those things that's just been around long enough that it's kind of seeped into different cultures. So everybody has some kind of weird version of it, and probably most of the pictures, if you look it up online, are hybrids of everybody's little folklore stuff getting into, and then that mixes into Dune. Once it shows up in Dune, then that's what everybody thinks of when you say a sandworm. And then Tremors happens, and you mix that in.
I've long wondered if there's more like Freudian reasons that a worm.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or even biblical, as far as that goes. That you come back to the evil being the serpent.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the.
Did you ever watch Lost? This is complete aside. No, I'm gonna spoil it for you.
I watched the Amanda recaps do the whole series.
Oh, okay.
And watching him explain it was like, what on earth was this show, and why did it last so long?
About halfway through the series, I got it in my head that the island was Eden, and that the smoke monster was the serpent.
Yeah.
And I still to this day feel like that's what they were setting up, but they didn't want to go there.
If they'd done that, it probably would have been a much better show, because that's what I always.
It would have made more sense.
Lost and this show and that show is like they ended so stupid, and it's like, it's like, well, then stop writing stupid endings. Don't be afraid to do an ending that is what you intended to do if that's what you set out to do. That was kind of the background that I found on that.
Okay.
And I think that's probably enough attention to that, because it really is just sort of a vehicle for all of what happens in those first 4 episodes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of random, but
I'll talk about that later on when we talk about our general thoughts. But
the next on the whole cryptid, yokai, whatever monster category would be the Evil Eye, of course.
Yeah.
And again, that's another thing that probably just been around so long that you say Evil Eye, everybody knows what you're talking about.
And it's based on the Evil Eye is based on a actual folklore.
Well, there's multiple ones. I mean, the original idea is that it's an ancient curse that comes from cultures all the way back to Greece and Rome, and even before that you can manifest harm and misfortune on somebody by glaring at them.
Okay.
So that you.
Oh yeah.
It really, really is. I'm giving you the evil eye. That's kind of where that whole term comes from, and it's no real one story on that. I think it's just sort of an amalgamation of ideas.
And people give people the evil eye.
Yeah, I guess my generation it would be the stink eye.
The stink eye, yeah.
That might have been funnier for him to take into that, but that also might not have translated into Japanese culture as much as
the smelly eyeball.
No. There's probably too many places that could have gone. But in Japan, there is a legend, or urban legend, of course, called, I never know how to pronounce this stuff, Kuni Kuni,
okay,
or maybe Kun Kun, I'm not sure which one. And an urban legend about in the countryside of you see like this tall, pale, dancing figure just in fields and stuff. And whether that's based off of hallucinations from heat or something like that, I don't know. The idea is that if you see the figure, that it makes you want to dance with it.
Okay.
And if you join in and dancing with this figure, it kind of takes you over and sort of drenches you in fear and madness. So
wonderful.
When you see it, it's kind of draws you in, and then it like curses you. So I think we had an image of like I found some little picture online of like two little kids like see this thing with its arms up. It almost looks like the thing you see outside of a car dealership.
Yeah.
The little inflatable thing.
Inflatable waving arm man.
Yeah. But those were, if you look at how they portrayed the evil eye demon before it gets into Gigi, I think it really was kind of influenced by that little Kuni.
Yeah, I could see the imagery because you see the little kid that becomes the evil eye, seeing children dancing, and he kind of dances with them, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think you're right about
everybody
that.
says, when they first see that demon of the evil eye, they're like, don't look at its eyes, don't make eye contact with it. And so kind of a mixture of those two things.
Okay. But the lore that he came up with, that's unique.
Yeah.
Okay. At least that we know of.
I think he must be well versed in a lot of this stuff, and he just draws from it and just kind of creates from it. And there's nothing original left under the sun, but there's definitely ways to draw of all the things that have been there before you and kind of create your own thing. And
so definitely, you were talking about studying this in like, as an example of how you can create stories. It shows you that you can take existing ideas and present them in a new way.
Yeah.
Think of like Star Wars, the original Star Wars saga is, was it Seven Samurai or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a couple of films that's almost like the plot line is based off of.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The way that they in these anime episodes they gave you that backstory with the little cursed kid and all that stuff. It doesn't take any time to do it if you do it right.
Right.
They just do it so visually, and it gives you enough to understand what it's all there. It doesn't beat you over the head with it. It doesn't explain it to you like you're an idiot, like they try to in anything that they make over here. And I just, again, one of my attractions to this show, as weird as the show is, the fact that it challenges me to watch it and process everything and gives me stuff to think about is why I enjoy stuff like this. You get back to the other guys, we pretty much covered them. You see the Dover Demon again, which was the Mana Shrimp, and he's here this time with his son.
His little son.
And I'm never going to be able to say that. But yeah, the whole idea of just the whole cow thing, that cracked me up. And I think I kind of covered it too. The Hayashi, the appearance of them is that's actually based off of the musical groups that come to Kabuki Theater, and they just kind of translated it into this instead of that whole idea of music and sound and stuff exists in a lot of stuff in Japan.
Okay.
Like even sumo tournaments going on right now. We watch sumo all the time. When they come out into the ring, they are clapping. They're doing the thing, you see them where they lift a leg up and they stomp. All of those are to create sounds to get the attention of gods, to give them strength and stuff like that, or to be on their side during the fight. And that whole idea exists there. I don't think we think of things like that we'll go outside and shoot my guns up into the air to get the attention of the people to give me strength. But that's just a continuation of that sort of thing in Japanese culture, I think, where I kind of forgot about when you're talking about when they started playing that even the ghosts were coming out and they were kind of head banging.
Yeah.
Just how it kind of, everybody that could hear it drew people to them.
The visual is definitely like a heavy metal concert.
And
then they had the classical, the composers. Music played a big part in the season.
Yeah. I'm still wrestling with Let me go back and watch those composer episodes again. Those kind of came out of left field for me, but
yeah.
And then the last one, the whole monster thing was, of course, the hybrid Godzilla. I think we kind of covered that too. It's just multiple toe monsters, and I thought the end part with the nod to actually being in a suit with a zipper I just loved that because that's
pretty good.
That
and definitely we keep talking about like the setup and payoff of the different elements of the show. I definitely think that he knew he wanted a kaiju versus a giant robot. But how do we get them in a giant robot?
Yeah.
Well, let's make nanoblocks. Well, why are nanoblocks there? Well, let's destroy the house to get the nanoblocks there.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me think of the writers of South Park. I've seen a clip where they're given like a lecture on how to build stories, and like they say something like, when something happens, it's this happens so that this happens, not this happens and this happens.
Yeah.
Like things have to lead into other things. And I thought of that when considering the formation of the robot, because that to me that seemed to come out of the idea of them having a giant robot seemed to come out of left field, but they justify it. Which is,
I was
good.
thinking maybe the first time in this show I've actually predicted where something was going was that with the little flashback of him having Gundams and stuff, Quinta having Gundams, it's like they're gonna make a robot.
Yeah.
It's like I hadn't really put together how they were gonna do it yet, but I was like, there's no way they're gonna fight this thing unless they get in some kind of giant monster. And I didn't know there's gonna be some other random ghost that would show up and just let them be a giant beast to fight them or what. But I was like,
one of the things they seem to do is they introduce a character and this character doesn't have any powers and they give the character powers. Yeah. And like, yeah, they think it could have been easy to be like, well, Quinta gets possessed by something and now he can grow huge. I mean, that could have been an easy storytelling mechanism, but I'm glad they didn't do that. I like that for now. Quinta doesn't have any powers, but he's still useful.
Yes.
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I had some thoughts on that, kind of getting into the final thoughts and criticisms and likes of the show.
Yeah, we can go and get into that. Do you have anything more to say about the...
Well, I was going to jump into the themes real quick
Sure.
of the show. I don't think there's anything too much, but kind of the two main themes in this show that it kind of goes back and forth between is, of course, the comedy, and then the sort of the teen angst romance side of it. And then, of course, you have like that sort of tortured soul arc that seems to exist in both seasons. But the comedy first, I don't know. I cannot think of anything that I've watched anytime since you get back into like the days of like Anchorman 2, where I just sat on the couch and like laughed out loud multiple times. And I know there's not a show I've watched in the last couple of years that's done that. This show, I don't know how many times I've just been sitting there on the couch laughing out loud like a moron watching this thing. And I thought this season was funnier than the first one. I noted a bunch of. I think I've started noting down like every time that I just did sort of a spit take laugh. The first time was like in the underground fights with the worms. The goo was like kind of running around and getting everybody stuck. The granny cat was stuck in the goo, and like Okarun comes to get her out. And of course, she's cussing. I won't say what she said because by getting her out of the goo. And then like he's standing on a board, and like the board tips and falls. I mean, it's like slapstick stuff. That's the kind of stuff that would, if this didn't have so many adult themes, that kids would love.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of stuff that would have my kids cackling when they were little, and it had me laughing like that. I think I mentioned it earlier. When Seiko brings Taro the mannequin there, they drop the spotlight on him and do the Lone Ranger theme.
Seiko was riding him?
Yeah.
Like a surfboard?
I think because I thought he was out of the series, I was just like, that caught me off guard again. And again, thankfully I wasn't drinking anything when that happened. Not too long after that moment when she's like running through the town with a worm carcass, it's like one of those little things you see in like old Charlie Chaplin or Keystone Cops things, where you see the street and you see people chasing each other, doing the back and forth across the thing. She's running like with the worm up over top of them. There's just all these people chasing her. No, I think we mentioned too when they trap the evil eye Taro with the mask. And every time like they do this thing, you think this like official little ceremony is gonna fix him, and they open his mask and he goes, "Still here." I couldn't remember what he said. I noted it there. I think it was right after that, probably the hardest I've laughed in the show, when Manus like leaves them and flies back home. They make this big production. He's like getting slowly drawn up into his ship, and Okarun's like, "Man, I hope I can come fly on a spaceship with you one day." Blah blah blah, and it launches off like it's going to be like a Star Trek kind of thing, or
Mhm.
you see it just blasting off to the sky.
And
It zips around and it comes right back and it goes just like a block over, and then it just lets them back down. And like, Manus is only like a block away from them. And they're like, even one of the characters says, it's like, oh, you could have just walked. That was great. I laughed so hard at that. I think I paused it on that one because I was laughing. I said something about the soy sauce drip thing. The way they shoot that, where they're showing these two bottles there, and like he grabs the wrong bottle, and it's like I wasn't processing that was going to be what caused the evil eye to come out, but they show like the little drop going each time, and when it hits him, it's all house blows. That the head we were talking about that.
I would say the evil eye was definitely the comedic relief in this series.
He is battling Taro to be who's my favorite character at this time. But the head banging scene was on top of the part where the graves and stuff going. I thought was hilarious. Like the three of them, they do those kind of fat chibi faces, and they're all sitting there banging their heads together and stuff.
Yeah, when they first got there, Psycho like tells them, "We don't need you, go away."
Yeah,
and the way they walk away, like in unison as a group, I found that really funny.
Yeah. The series was just so funny all the way through.
And then they show up again. I remember in the episode when I saw that, and she told them, like, "Yeah, we don't need you to go away," and they walk away. I was like, oh, "That's so random. Like, what's even the point of that?" And then they come back. I'm like, oh, okay.
The whole thing, that little side thing with Gigi and or being the evil eye at school, like they were trying to get him to use chopsticks.
Yeah, he wants to just shove the food in his mouth.
He kept on saying he wanted to butcher everybody. Yeah. He's sitting in the back of like the classroom, and he's like scribbling.
Yeah, I like how he had the notebook.
He holds
and he's
it up,
and it's just all black.
Just black scribble. They can't find like every machine they go to doesn't have a hot drink in it and food. There's no hot food left when they go.
That was a really good series of events.
Getting back to the end of the series when they're having the kaiju fight and Gigi and Kenta are away from it. He gets like sweat from Kenta because Kenta's sweating all the time because he's a little fat kid. It turns him into the evil eye, and like he fights it off, and then like he turns and bumps into him, and like this whole just like
shower
bag of sweat, just shower of sweat hits him and turns him out again.
That had me actually think about whether or not sweat is warm or cold. And I was like, I think sweat would be warm because it's from your body, but it's
I don't know. I think it would dispel the heat pretty quickly and be at least lower than your body temperature.
Right. But, and they did show that like room temperature is cold enough to bring the evil eye out. So.
And I think from that point on, like when he's in the robot and everything else, it's just like every time like they come back to Evil Eye, he's just like, I want to murder.
Yeah. Because like you said, they come to an agreement that they're going to fight every Tuesday, and so the Evil Eye is honoring that. And one thing we didn't mention was at one point, Okarun is wanting to know if they could ask the Evil Eye to fight on their side. And Momo's like, you can't do that to him. You can't have him. You can't let him fight someone else, because then how are you going to stop him from fighting everyone else?
You're breaking the agreement.
Yeah.
I think we kind of mentioned it where they all pushed the button.
That was great.
One of the things that I forgot that was in the middle of that, the hand falls off. There was like one of the screens is a cuckoo clock. There was like there was a cuckoo bird that just I
forgot about that. Yeah, it was.
I don't know whose. Because
did that.
It was like a little square for each person's one. So whatever was in one of their minds was a cuckoo clock, and that's what manifested in the thing. That was so random, but I was laughing so hard.
Do you have more?
One last one.
Yeah.
The in the Buddha robot, they're flying all over the place and all that stuff. Everybody gets motion sick except for Kenta, and Kenta,
because he's been preparing.
His superpower is that he has tolerance for motion sickness because he's been riding roller coasters by himself for all of his life. And he talks about it like he's been training for this moment. And when they get back out, everybody's just like hurling everywhere. I think Ira and Momo are like back in the house and they're just hugging toilets, just blah. Those were the ones I noted. I've literally started writing like a little star and laugh at moments during the show because I was like, I'm not going to remember all of this stuff. There's just so much going on.
They did some of this in the first season as well, but I feel like in this season they really did they did a visual gag separation with even the art style.
Yeah,
because like when everybody was getting sick and when Momo was trying to find a place to puke, like I won't even say the quality, the style of the art changes dramatically from the rest of the series. It gets very stretchy,
that's
like a cartoon.
Part of my sort of likes in the final thoughts of it is just Science Saru. That really is their style of anime.
Is that the anime production company?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not as prevalent in this as it is in some of their other stuff, like Devilman Crybaby,
okay,
where they will shift just something different happening with a mood or an action during a story. They'll actually shift styles of animation.
Okay,
but they do work some of that into this, and their animation is beautiful. I think I've said it before that they have so many things they've made that I don't have access to. I think it's on Crunchyroll.
Mm-hmm.
That at some point I'm just going to have to cut another service and just get Crunchyroll and just dive into some of that stuff. But so, I don't have enough time to even watch all my stuff right now that I have access to.
You want to get into final thoughts since we're talking about it anyway?
Yeah, the other themes, the Teen Hank stuff in there.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think there's anything we didn't really cover in talking about it. But there's this constant awkwardness between Okurin and Momo still, and he really does that really well through the show. Just kind of putting on screen what it was really like to be a teenager. Mm-hmm. How girls are, especially with Okurin, girls are starting to think he's cool, and he has no idea how to even respond to it because he's not been noticed by anybody at all before.
What did he say at that moment? I finally made it, or I finally did it. Momo was making fun of him.
Yeah. And you've got an AGG that's super popular, which is kind of annoying because you can always relate those to somebody that you were in school with. But I mean, he's likable to the point that you really can't hate him. Mm-hmm.
Which could very well just be a commentary on those kinds of people. Where like, well, you may have thought the person was a certain way because that's how they present them at first, but then you find out they're really a good person.
The Momo and Ira relationship where they're always at each other. Mm-hmm. I've always said that, even from work environments to anything else, that if you put three women in a room together, that two of them are going to be plotting how to destroy the other one after a while.
Well, Momo and Ira seem to be fighting over Okurin.
Their competition over him.
Yeah, Ira's not
kind of over who's
not shy about liking Okurin.
And I don't know if she's serious about always wanting to be in charge, but she's always saying that she's the boss and she's in charge, and it may just be that because she thinks she's the prettiest, the prettiest, that's her thing.
And her liking Okurin might just be that, where it's not necessarily that she doesn't actually like Okurin. She likes that attention. I'm sure we'll go into that at some point.
Character I never even mentioned his name is Manjiro. That's the guy that's in the temple.
He's the priest.
He's the little priest guy.
What was up with his eyebrows?
He had a big unibrow.
Yeah, big unibrow.
I thought it was a kind of interesting kind of commentary if that's what he was going for. Then he's there to kind of maintain the ancient rituals in the thing, but the only thing he wants to be is, they call it a bootuber. He just wants to be YouTuber. Right? He just wants to be a YouTuber. And that probably speaks to, I'm sure, a thing that's going on in Japan with all the social media stuff, and there's all these old traditions, and how do you get young people to still maintain them when all they want to do is get on social media? I thought that was kind of a cool little mix into the story. And again, not beating you over the head with anything, but a couple lines is enough to kind of plant that in there. Mm-hmm. I think I already mentioned Quinta just being bullied. They did another kind of little, just very brief thing that kind of gives that character building, that whether or not you might dislike him, the way he kind of enters the story, it gives you that sympathy for his character. It kind of makes you like him a little bit better.
Well, I definitely feel like the writer wants some certain themes in there with social awkwardness, being kind of a geek, that sort of thing. But Okurin has grown out of that, and so this guy is like, well, he's the new Okarun,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. And I think I covered it before too. That Momo, she has to take a humiliating job where she's in a tea shop, having to act like a little servant, and they do those things at some of the anime shows that I go to, and we've had free passes to go to them. I'm not going to go in there and watch somebody act like that. I don't. I think it's humiliating. I guess that's maybe the point of it. I don't know. People enjoy that, but
I think it's from the opposite side. It's that people like to be doted over, and you really don't get doted over in day-to-day life. And hey, you can go to these cafes, and this person is going to pretend like they care about you.
Yeah.
More than a regular servant would.
But she has to do that because, like I said, that I guess that's kind of relatable to the area where I grew up, where she's just doing that because she still doesn't have a phone.
Yeah, Kai and Miko, they do kind of rag on her at one point about not having a phone yet.
I don't know how many times that I would be in school, or even other kids there were friends of mine or kids that were in school with my kids would be there, and you can see that difference between the kid that has the newest thing, and the parents would get them a new car as soon as they turn 16 and all this stuff, and then you see the other kids that just don't have anything. That interaction between kids is obviously it's not just a Southwest Virginia thing. It's across cultures and worldwide.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a interesting way to kind of get that little commentary in there without beating you over the head or out really being preachy about it. Just showing that's part of life. But
there was one fake out with Ira that we didn't really mention, thinking that she died. The kaiju killed her. Like they kind of set it up to where you think, well, did she actually die during the one of the battles?
Yeah, when they're still fighting in downtown.
Yeah. First time her silky form really showed any kind of weakness, I think.
Yeah, and the again, I think that was maybe a little weakness, maybe in the story building on that, because we got all that kind of beautiful, crushing story of the Acro Silky and how that came into being in the first season, and then you got no development of it until it comes back into this, and she's got that kind of half face, and all that stuff. And I would like to have seen her figuring out how to get control of that more. But
she seems like she's pretty much got control of it already.
Yeah. Feel like you missed a piece of story there somewhere.
Well, I remember we were talking about when we were talking about season 1, how that little girl in the flashbacks, Acro Silky's daughter.
Yeah.
We were thinking, well, is that supposed to be Ira? Is it supposed to be Momo? I'm thinking at this point it was just a random girl.
Yeah.
I don't think it was actually supposed to be important.
Yeah.
Because if so, again, season 3, they might bring it back, but I don't expect to see anything.
I don't think with the way that storyline went that girl lived much longer.
Probably not.
I think she was sold into trafficking, and that's just the awful thing to even have to think about.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the show?
I mean, honestly,
the first thing I kind of wanted to address was the opening.
Yeah. They changed the opening, different song, different everything.
It's almost like struggle's not the right word, because it's not really a struggle, but it's just a thing I still never gotten really comfortable with in anime, or I've never got to where I'm happy with it, not comfortable, to where you get used to a theme song and always halfway through the season they change it. And they do a new opening. It's much more traditional in this one.
Yeah.
Not as good as the first one. The first one is so. If there was ever a way to draw you into a show, just the opening of the first season.
I mean, I saw people talking about DanDaDan and stuff like that, but seeing the opening credits is what made me go, I want to watch that. Absolutely.
I'm an older dude watching anime, and I don't mind admitting that I'm a grumpy old man that doesn't like change.
I just for me personally, I felt like the song specifically was so intrinsically tied to the feel of DanDaDan.
Yeah.
I felt like it kind of betrays is too strong of a word. But I feel like I kind of betrayed the series.
I pay a lot of attention to opening, closing credits, and all the different anime that I watch, because I do realize they put a lot of work into them in some shows. And there's a lot of detail and a lot of good animation in both opening and closing credits of it. But just the song to me kind of felt more just like it could be the song from any other anime.
Right.
And I think when you're doing this show, it's so much different that I would have liked to seen them stay on a, we're going to bring something at you pretty hard for the music instead of, I mean, you had a metal band. You could have taken some of that music from the from the Exorcism part of it and done something along those lines. But
Now, I haven't listened to this. We'll listen to it afterwards. There is a DanDaDan season 2 opening on the way English cover, because that was one of the things I really loved about the first season.
yeah, that they
They had an English cover. I thought that was beautifully done.
Yeah.
After this, we'll listen to that, because I didn't think about whether or not there was an English cover.
I didn't even really pursue it. I was noting.
I literally just Googled it, so yeah.
Noting those things.
Okay, cool.
I guess on the show, I'd rather do criticisms first and then get back to the positives, because I like to leave on positive.
Sure.
I think my first criticism is that creepy keto thing where the guys are basically trying to pin Momo down and assault her, and I recommended this show to a dude at at our post office that I found out, I guess because of my business, seeing the packages and stuff I'm taking there all the time. He asked about anime, and we talked about it a little bit. And he said that he watched the first episode with his wife and they turned it off of season 1. And I'm like, that's understandable.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate side effect of that, is that there's a lot of the show that could be for a younger audience, because it is really funny. It really does address that kind of teen romance and some of those awkward things that kids are dealing with growing up. But when you throw in some creepy old guys trying to rape people, that just kind of, it's like, no, I don't want to see that. And that's basically what those guys were. They're in a spa in like a little rag, trying to pin her down several times, and I'm like, that's too much.
That theme specifically, because yeah, you're right. They did. It's in the beginning of each season that they put Momo in a situation where she's possibly about to be raped,
and it really goes away both seasons after that, and it doesn't come back.
Right.
And it's just like, why do we have to start the season that way?
I'm assuming it was just happenstance that's how they started both seasons. I don't think that specific thing was intentional, but that specific act is a really easy way for you to say you feel bad for this character, you empathize with this character, and these are the bad guys. Yeah. Like there's not much more you can do aside from killing people off to show this person's bad. And I just think that's kind of like shorthand.
If I was going to rewrite that for a younger audience, it'd be they're just trying to catch her to sacrifice her to the snake. And you don't have to have them basically pinning her down on the ground like they're going to do something to her. That's an uncomfortable thing to watch, and that's something I don't want kids to see. And I wouldn't, if I'd been watching that with my kids, we wouldn't have watched the season, because they'd been like, nope.
What's the age rating on DanDaDan? I know we looked it up before, but
it's a TVMA, the way that it's listed on stuff.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's fine.
MA is too vague for me, because sometimes that means it's just got a few bad words in it, and sometimes it means there's full nudity in it. And
well, I did notice watching on Netflix that the content descriptors did have nudity in it, which like DanDaDan doesn't have nudity.
It doesn't.
It
gets close enough.
Well, hang on a second. We didn't even mention this. When Okaroon and the Evil Eye make the agreement this is the nudity, I guess, make the agreement that he will only fight on Tuesdays, the Evil Eye, because at that point he's running around just in his underwear, Gigi's underwear. That. He takes off Gigi's underwear and gives them to Okaroon and says that when I kill you, I will get this back, and that will be the symbol that our agreement is fulfilled. And then I can kill everybody.
Does it in front of everybody, and all the girls are standing
all the girls
there,
are there.
just seeing him. Somebody says something like "nice thing."
Was that Turbo Granny?
Her or the grandma? I don't remember.
It was the grandma.
Yeah.
It was absolutely, yeah.
And then they carry the underwear.
Nice dong, I think he said, or something like that.
I was gonna not say that. They carry the underwear around in like a box.
They put it in a box, and
like it's a sacred item or something.
Yeah, it's like an a blessed box. Yeah. I completely forgot about that. That has to be the nudity when like he takes it off and you see his butt.
I think you see butts a couple times.
Yeah.
And I think you see that in the first season when they're running out of the classroom or something like that. But the
but I still think that they, even though there is some stuff, I think a cheaper show, cheaper as not in quality of animation or anything, but narrative, cheaper in narrative. Like Cheap Shot, a show that took cheaper shots would have had a lot more fan service than this had. Yeah. So even though yes, there are themes that are adult, and like the very first show that you said you're the guy said I watched the first show and we're not going to watch anymore. Yeah. That doesn't embody the rest of the series and what the series has,
and that's why I put that in the criticisms, because it really does. It doesn't seem necessary for the story. But that is going to be something that turns off just about probably a good 30% of the audience that would even try to watch it.
See, I think if you wanted me to think that those guys were creeps, yeah, sexual assault versus just straight up sacrifice, I'm going to think they're more creepy with the sexual assault. So narratively, I think there's a reason for that.
It makes you. It gets you to the point.
But you're thinking that maybe it doesn't match the themes of the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Like how the rest of the series.
The rest of it was so funny and so slapsticky and stuff that I think a lot of ages could enjoy it. I think the rest of the time you get to angles and stuff where you're like, they're coming up to a bad angle on this girl and her school skirt that, again, I'm not comfortable with as a father with a daughter.
Right.
But they don't really go past that. They're not showing you underwear and stuff like that. But there's a lot of things that kind of right up to the edge of it. And I don't think too much about those because I'm 50, I'm happily married, and drawn animated women that's not a source of excitement for me. So I guess I'll let too much of that stuff kind of roll off and don't pay attention to it. And you go back and show it to somebody who is much more sensitive to it, then you see you see some stuff and you're like, oh yeah, that was a little bit much. But my other criticism of the show was, I think I said it before, was really that kind of music composer arc. Mm-hmm.
That did feel out of nowhere. But
if the whole point of that was to be a reason to show some training to get him to bring him from where he was behind Evil Eye up to that, there could have been other ways to do that other than just let's throw in some random composers and have them shoot musical notes that explode. That to me seemed like that was an idea out of left field that just kind of got wedged into it. And I didn't write the story; it's not mine to decide where it goes.
I kind of felt the same with the mannequin in the first season.
Yeah,
I mean it was funny, but it was just like completely random.
The mannequin thing though did carry over multiple episodes,
right? And
this was just in one episode. Here's some composers, and now all of a sudden you can fight better.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have seen maybe a different arc there. But that's a small criticism in the show. It doesn't detract from the show. That's just like that'd be like that one episode. If I was going to go back there and watch it again, I might just skip because there's really not anything to take out of it a second time. I don't think, but. Those are my critiques. Those are my negatives. Obviously, lots more positives on the show.
My biggest critique of the show felt like it was addressed by the end of the series. I felt like it was a lot of filler. Like we had the Evil Eye arc, and then I felt like the episodes really weren't going anywhere. Like you're trying to keep the Evil Eye under control and stuff like that. But I didn't feel like it was building toward anything.
I feel like the little reveal at the end kind of fixed that for me. That I was like, why are we getting a kaiju with an episode left? Yeah. But it wasn't that. It was to introduce this new character. They introduced Kenta pretty late in it. I think for me, building this sort of team of quirky characters has kind of reached what's the right word? It's reached capacity for me. I don't want
more characters.
I don't want a whole lot more characters to come in to. I guess the thing that you don't really have yet is you don't really have that kind of underlying antagonist that the show is going to be they're trying to work against. There's still just all these random spirit things that keep popping up, and if it stays episodic like that, where it's more like the Twilight Zone,
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Or X-Files, that's fine. If it's going to go somewhere else, then that seems to me that's the next thing to introduce is to introduce the big bad guy, and if not, then don't keep adding in other characters because it's going to get so crowded with characters that it becomes hard to process.
We got introduced to Psycho's larger world, and it's kind of getting peppered more like with the priest. We're getting introduced to kind of some things that she was into. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a big bad of the entire story that it involves her past somehow.
Yeah.
Because as it stands, really, if you step back and you're like, well, what did this season accomplish? It gave us Quinta, and it gave us the Evil Eye, and it gave us a new alien girl. So it's I kind of feel like in a video game, you'll be playing the video game, and there'll be a room you get to, and there's a bunch of weapons, a bunch of health, a bunch of ammo, and you're like, oh, well, okay, well, this we're preparing for something.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of what I felt like the series as a whole.
I think I said it somewhere in the notes that I can't find that they've formed the Justice League now.
Right.
That they don't give me any more people.
Yeah.
You kind of you melded into this team of people that kind of work together. You've got enough quirkiness across all of them of people that balance each other out, and that now you have your group of Suicide Squad or just whatever. Pick your team of teams that.
Yeah, because if you consider Momo and Okarun's arcs, okay, Okarun is a little faster now. He's a little more capable, which is good. I like that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, one of my criticisms of the first season is Okarun seemed kind of underpowered. But like in the story of like what are they doing? They're in the same place. Yeah. They're looking for his body. Well, of course, this new alien girl has it, or is it? I don't.
My thought is you keep coming back with the little shrimp dude.
Yeah.
That he's out there. What were they called? The Serpoians?
Something like that.
The weird alien guys that were there at the beginning
of the series, and they weren't in season 2 at all.
I feel like if I'm writing this narratively, this girl that just came that has antennas like she's from space has to be tied back into that.
Right.
Whether she's one of them, somebody else that's fighting or fleeing them. I don't know if they're if they're kind of the destructive force across the galaxy or what. I don't know enough about them to know, and I'm staying away from any kind of cheats and spoilers on this thing.
They could very well end up being the big bad of the whole series.
That might be.
They come back and they're like, we're going to destroy you all or take you all or whatever.
If anybody wants to kind of relate this anime series to something they'd be familiar with, I guess if you're closer to our age, it'd be X-Files.
Yeah. And
X-Files was fun to watch, but after a while you kind of got to like, well, where is this going? And they did start to kind of work in the whole conspiracy, secret smoking guy thing. Mm-hmm. And I honestly, I bailed on X-Files before it ever finished. So I never saw it finish, but
one of those I should rewatch that series one day.
It's kind of
growing up when I was watching X-Files, I didn't catch it every week, so I just saw one episode. A couple weeks later, saw another episode.
But this feels like this is kind of like that. It can either continue like that and keep being kind of random X-Files type little mini arcs, or it can start to aim towards something, and it may be. I don't know how far the manga goes. Obviously, when something like that kind of gets thrown out and becomes popular, there becomes a drive to make more of it. And maybe he doesn't know where it's going to go yet. It's very, very possible. But positives on the show?
Before we go to the positives, I just want to say I think if the format of season 2 is the format moving forward, I'm hoping, you were talking about like they have their Avengers now, I'm hoping characters come and go.
Yeah.
Like we don't okay, Quinta, you did your thing, go away, someone else comes in.
What I want with Quinta is I do not want him to get
a power. Yeah, I agree.
I think he's their position to be like that normal guy that knows about them. You can tie that into any series, whether it's the guy in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. He almost looks like that guy.
Yeah,
that knows about Spider-Man or
his friend.
Whether it's uh, Alfred for Batman, or the guy who's
The
back
guy in the chair is how he says it in Spider-Man.
guy in the back in the home base that is kind of your guy who lets you know what's happening or keeps up with stuff.
And I could totally see that, him literally being at the house while they're going on missions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be my hope for that character, that we don't have to go through one more thing where you take half a season to let him get possessed by a ghost and be a thing. I think we have a nice group of things at this point.
And I've seen enough of him in the field.
Yeah.
Like, he's almost like a damsel in the field because he doesn't have powers. They have to kind of consider him.
Yeah.
We've seen that. We don't need.
He's got nano stuff. I mean, he can make himself a little suit or something, and he can function as as the robot, as the chubby Iron Man.
Yeah, those little mother box cubes, the Minecraft cubes, they could really go anywhere with that. That is this will do whatever we need it to do.
Yeah.
Kind of plot device.
I
wouldn't be sad if they nerfed that somehow. If once they're in a particular shape for long enough, they solidify or something like that.
Yeah.
Taking that power away, that almost seems like it might be a little too powerful going forward.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they do with it.
You could take it back out by just being like, I'm going to take the nano blocks back to make a cow farm in space.
There you go. Or if we see Ludris again at some point, he seemed to, I don't know, have a hatred of those blocks. So
I really didn't like to address that very much. He was just like running around and like smashing stuff.
Yeah.
And Mandus was like, "Oh no, he says thank you," but he'd be over there like breaking windows out and stuff, and Mandus would come back and fix it. So
fix the window.
It was like he was translating for him, but translating it wrong and just covering the fact that Ludris is just an idiot that was running around smashing stuff. But
he just needed him for his blocks. That's why he was there.
Yeah. But the
positives,
again, quirkiest show I think I've ever seen. I'd love.
There's an anime that I watched years ago, right when in the early 2000s, called Excel Saga, and I think Excel Saga is more quirky than this. It's goofy, but yeah, definitely up there.
I guess I should define quirky. I've seen things that are weirder than this, right. But it seems like when they go weirder than this, they're things that I don't really want. It's too much fan service, too much other weird, almost kind of demonic type things that I'm just not into.
Gotcha.
This nails my sense of humor, and like I said, we said that at the beginning. I needed something to make me laugh over the last couple of weeks because I was kind of dwelling in unhappy places. Excuse me. And this provided it. It's so funny. I love the tie-ins to all like the myths and the legends. Talked about that, about how much he just seems to be a genius on this and knows what he's talking about. The teen part of this thing is very similar, and I know you haven't watched it, to Symbiotic Titan.
Okay.
Where they're fighting these intergalactic monsters and they have all this bad stuff that happened back on their world, but then they're trying to figure out how to kind of live as high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it before, it's almost like making a Wonder Years into an anime.
Right.
To me, I grew up on the Wonder Years. I love that show. Doesn't have the narration over top of it, thankfully, but it hits on so many like real emotions accurately, I think. So this guy remembers definitely what it's like to come through school and probably be a little bit of a nerd. Let's see. But yeah, I think I was just kind of pondering there. I just remember how like out of alignment everything was when you're coming through school with, you like a girl at the time that she doesn't like you, then you meet somebody else and all of a sudden 3 other girls like you, and that seems like that's working it all out in here, like that's kind of represented with Okarone. You finally spend your whole time in high school trying to get a girlfriend and you can't get one, and when you finally get one, then like 5 other girls come out of the woodworks trying to be your girlfriend. that's just the struggle of being a kid in high school, I think. But and they kind of do a good job, I think, portraying it from Momo's viewpoint some too, where she's sometimes sitting there contemplating, like, am I too bossy? Am I too rude? Am I this? It's definitely all of that mixed into all this other crazy stuff that happens is still kind of fascinates me that this guy gets all this into 24-minute episodes. Um, the animation of this thing, I talked about that with being Science Saru, is just next level. And I just saw the Demon Slayer thing in the theater, the opening of that. I'll talk about that next time. There's too much to go into that. But between Demon Slayer and Chainsaw Man and this show, like animation, it seems like in the last year has just exploded into quality. Even if you go back and compare this to Attack on Titan, when I saw Attack on Titan, what do you call the gear that they're pulling each other through the towns with?
The 3D. It's like the 3D traversal or something like that.
Yeah, the gear that they're basically shooting cables out, launching themselves, and able to fly between the buildings, almost like Spider-Man. I can't remember what that stuff's called. The animation of that at the time was the coolest thing I think I'd ever seen, and it seems like
vertical maneuvering system. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. It seems like the animation of these shows I just mentioned have surpassed that.
Well, the Silky's hair kind of evokes that too.
Yeah,
with the maneuver system.
I don't understand how they make this kind of animation. If there's how much computer generated stuff is mixed into it.
I have no idea.
Or what? But if this is all just purely animated, I can't imagine the hours and the work that goes into it.
I think there was a dip maybe 10 years ago in the quality of animation.
Yeah.
Probably because they started to incorporate computers. I know there was a whole Berserk series that I still haven't watched because it just looks terrible. Like the animation is all CG and it's like that. We're trying to be 2D, but it's
there's a lot of
made
Netflix
3D.
stuff. I mentioned Knights of Sidonia. It was all computer generated, and I don't like. I resisted that show because I didn't like the animation of it, but the story was so good that I got drawn into it.
Because the animation from like the mid 2000s, the animations I watched were great.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Witchblade specifically. I loved the animation in Witchblade, and I think what you might be saying is either a return to hand drawn stuff, or they've gotten good enough with 3D to where you can't even tell.
I don't know. There's been a jump somehow, and whether it's returning to more focus on hand drawn and being able to maybe process it and enhance it with computer stuff or something. It's so sharp and so detailed that you almost want to go back through, like, watch these episodes, consume the story, and then just go back and like get a cup of something you want to sit there, a cup of coffee, and sit and watch it again, and just watch the animation because it's really is. It's a sensory overload to try to process these.
Like I mentioned before, is how the animation style switches pretty dramatically to more simplified shapes and whatnot.
That simplified kind of primitive looking stuff that Science Saru does is, I love it. Where
I mean, it's a good way to, a lot of times they use sound and music and stuff like that to help pretty much tell you what emotions you should be feeling at the time, but they do that visually really well.
Yeah,
because it gives you almost a frantic feeling when the animation swaps like that. Yeah,
you get into some of the big fights in like Attack on Titan where they almost were too hard to really follow because they were trying to do a moving camera through them launching themselves and like Leon spinning with his swords.
A lot of movement lines.
Yeah, but it's like that. It seemed like they figured out a way to detail that and clear it up to where like the fight with like Evil Eye and Okarun in this, where he finally kind of bests him, where they're flying up through the air and he's like he's multiple punching, uppercutting him in the stomach and stuff like that. Go back and watch that if it's not very fresh in your mind, and just look at the detail on it. It's ridiculous. It's
one of the other things I really noticed about the animation is the idea of like the stretch and squash, where like the form, like the form of like their physical bodies can stretch beyond like what's physically possible.
Yeah.
And definitely the themes of this anime, it plays into that because it is kind of surreal.
They mix in a little bit of the Demon Slayer does it so much heavier where they want to switch to something funny and comical. They switch to the little chibi face with the little lips that look like a little butt.
Yeah.
They do that a few times in here.
Mostly eyes. Blink. They could do those like saucer eyes with the big pupils.
But when it's done in here, it's perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Like the heavy metal scene, stuff
Mhm.
like that. And
Yeah, that's definitely that's definitely one of those things. If anime has too much of that, that does start to
Demon Slayer is
annoy
very
me.
heavy on it,
Okay,
but
I'll keep that in mind if I ever watch it.
it doesn't. I don't think it's ever gone beyond. I guess the way to say that about Demon Slayer is watch it in Japanese.
Okay.
Because you'll get annoyed with the English dub
Gotcha.
if that kind of stuff bothers you. But the this one too, I watched this one in English. I'm probably, when I get time, just going to go back through and watch it all in Japanese again, just to kind of hear it with the original voices and see, get a little bit more of that characterization of them, because you lose some of that when you hear a voice in a show. Quinta was Bryce Peppenbrook, the
No,
guy, the guy that voiced Aaron Yeager in Attack on Titan. Bryce Peppenbrook, Poppin Snap Pop Tart, whatever his name is.
you mean the English voice?
Yeah, complete wrong voice for that character. Peppenbrook.
Bryce Peppenbrook.
The if you go back and listen to the Japanese guy, he sounds like how you would imagine that kid sounding.
Mm.
This sounds like, I always kind of compare like the guy that does Aaron to being Christian Bale after he did Batman. Every movie that he did ever after that, whether it was Terminator or anything else, he was still just voicing Batman. And that's what that guy sounds like to me.
Okay.
But yeah, the I judge a series by just how much I enjoy it and how much I want others to see it. And I would recommend this one to people that are anime fans more than anything I can think of recently. So,
well, it's one of the few animes that I think is broad. It's broad enough in scope and themes and content that if you're into anime, you will enjoy this.
Yeah. I said that at the beginning. This is not an entry level anime at all, but if you have been through anime series after anime series and you get a little bit kind of bored by just kind of recycled things, then this will break you out of that boredom, because it's completely unpredictable just trying to follow this thing. And
one of the few series I don't mind binging.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything else like this in a while. That another conversation probably for another day is just how comedy has kind of just disappeared in our entertainment, and even attempts at comedy are just not really funny. That we're still stuck into this thing. You can't say that, that's offensive, blah blah blah. And it's not that any of this comedy is offensive. It's just people, I think, have forgotten how to be funny because they've been so worried about offending somebody. And I've watched shows that were supposed to be comedy shows that I might have laughed at once or twice throughout the whole show, and I've sat there and laughed like a moron watching this thing. I appreciate just having something that's actually funny. That, the older you get, I guess the harder it is to find something that catches you off guard or surprises you, shows you something new. And
I think comedy in America, maybe in the West, has been relegated more to like YouTube skits, TikTok, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think it's that the people who sign the checks to make these kinds of things aren't wanting to sign those checks. I think that's really the issue. It's not. I don't think culturally we're so much against comedy. It's that it's the businessmen don't want to bet on it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, what is it? I think it's Brett or something. I've seen a couple of short videos that I think it's comedy gold. Where it's just like this small office, and there's just an awkward character that's there. I'm trying to remember what his name is. But yeah, I think that's where you go anymore. There's some series on YouTube where it's people pretending like they're in the fantasy world and they're in video games, and they are making fun of how video game logic works.
Okay.
And that kind of stuff. Of course, I'm a gamer, so that would speak specifically to me.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of comedy, a lot of humor, a lot of stand-up, but not a lot of films. Yeah,
the stand-up seems to be the place to go to it. And there's this kind of group of comedians that have just sort of separated themselves away from mainstream media stuff. Dave Landau and oh my goodness, a lot of people that I've heard kind of come through the Rogan show. I think I've said that to you before, that sometimes on Rogan, there's just people I don't want to spend 3.5 hours listening to the conversation with, but some of the ones that he has with some of the comedians on there are literally the only other thing that will make you laugh at the level that this show has made me laugh. And honestly, those are probably laughing more at being offensive. I guess that kind of comes back to why this show kind of endears itself to me, is that you don't have to say something that's just completely rude to make me laugh. That these are just really just coming out of left field and making me open mouth chortle at these things.
Well, the character I was thinking about, his name is Chit, and apparently there's a lot of videos I haven't watched because the videos are just a couple minutes long. One day ago, someone posted the full series of the Chit show. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Wow.
So, yeah. So comedy is alive, just not on TV, not in movies.
Yeah.
And I still haven't seen The Naked Gun. I want to see it because people said it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to the theater, but schedule didn't work out.
It used to be that there was things like The Naked Gun out 10 times a year, and now if somebody does it once, it's like, oh look, there was a funny thing.
I mean,
it's like, okay.
I mean, how many scary movies were there?
A lot. Yeah.
Well,
again,
Mel Brooks is making a Spaceballs sequel.
And also,
sequel.
Seems to be like that's where our comedy is stuck, though, is just being able to make fun of something and
parody
stuff. And this was just completely. There's not a moment in here that I laughed at that was making fun of some other thing. It was just complete,
right?
Just insane, creative stuff. A lot of times, just catching you out.
Situational comedy.
Yeah. A lot of stuff that's probably borderline slapstick, but again, that's worked for centuries.
Of course,
it's always good to see that somebody still knows how to do it. So.
Do you have any other thoughts about DanDaDan season 2?
Again, it left us hanging.
Yeah.
I guess we'll wait to see. Hopefully, it turns around as quick as this one did on getting to, I guess, the season 3. What was it? It was less than a year. It was 6-7 months between the two.
Pretty quick. Let's see if we can find out when DanDaDan season 3.
Yeah.
DanDaDan season 3. Let's see. 1 day ago they announced season 3.
Okay.
So let's see. This is from Crunchyroll specifically.
The last episode was just released last Thursday.
Yeah.
So we really are right on
there,
right on the tail of this thing, which is not very often for us. We're usually talking about movies from 30 years ago.
And I'm not seeing where they talk about when it's going to be. It's just they are making season 3, which is kind of obvious from the end of the show.
I'm sure at least that far is probably already worked out in the manga. And I say that I've like in Chainsaw Man and stuff. I'm just kind of going no caution against the wind, whatever the right thing is there. Throwing caution against the wind. I'm just going to start reading it. I want to keep this one as just watching it on TV. I don't own any copies of this one yet, and I'm not going to because I do like seeing the visual side of these and not just reading them all the time. And
right.
I'll spoil my Chainsaw Man through the manga.
Right.
I'm gonna save DanDaDan for when it comes out on TV.
There you go. All right. Well, another aspect of Appalachian dim sum is a lot of times we have food, and leftovers we don't really have food.
I actually got some in my bag.
Oh, I got some too. So we're gonna take a break, and we'll be back.
Yeah, I almost forgot.
Okay, so both you and I brought something. You want me to go first?
I've got mine here.
Okay, there you go.
Mine was no creativity. Just literally, I got me a bag of Mongolian
sour worms.
Mongolian death worms. I was trying to think of something worm related and like trying to think about cooking something, and I actually found a thing to try to cook, and I don't have it here on the computer, but there was I think I was looking at the kabuki stuff.
Okay.
I found something that you could tie into the show. I did not have time to get into that, so I just picked up some trolley.
Sounds good to me.
I didn't even do it. It was like yesterday on my daughter was like, I got to go to the grocery store real quick. It's like, will you pick me up some sour gummy worms? So we've got our Mongolian death worms.
And Joel has no idea what this is. Go ahead.
There is a bowl
With the golden meatball.
that just completely looks like something we should not eat.
I'll take a picture of it. But yeah, for when it was after I texted you. I was like, did he ever get his other ball? And you were like, no, he's still out there. I was like, oh man, for some in my head it popped in. We actually make golden meatballs, and this is edible.
It's
golden luster dust.
Wow, that does not look edible. I'm not sure I was ever a paint eater when I was a kid. Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I don't remember that because I was.
That's right. Maybe. But yeah, keeping with the theme. Themed food. I just thought that amused me. Pretty much this whole endeavor that we have here is just to amuse ourselves, and
that
amuses me.
That's a golden ball.
Yes, it is.
It sure is.
I mean, I guess we could just call it Okaroons.
Yeah.
Now, when I was making the meatballs, I wanted all to be pretty uniformed, and I was forming them, and they were 34 grams each. And I got in my head, how much does a testicle weigh? I didn't Google it. I didn't want to get that specific.
I heard somebody on a country show telling a story about eating bull testicles, and
I bet those are huge.
He was calling them tentacles. It was just a hilarious story. I won't try to relate it because I'll tell it wrong. But I think the thing that it came down to at the end is that the bull doesn't always lose. And that they were serving whoever lost.
Okay, yeah. All right, so our next episode is going to be the appetizers for the month of October.
Yes, and we drew out of our cookie jar last time Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass, which I've been watching. A lot different than DanDaDan.
Yeah,
a lot different. Yeah. Who's the main actor in that? You know what I'm talking about. Yes. The sheriff. Let's see. Midnight Mass characters. Raul.
Ryan Flynn is a little bit of the character, kind of the main character, but
Raul Coley.
Yeah.
I know him from.
Really, I don't know if the main character is the preacher.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a lot of characters to talk about in that one.
Yeah. But I've been impressed with his presentation, his acting ability. I'm happy to watch the rest. I've only watched
our appetizers. Though will be what we've been doing, so we won't get to Midnight Mass on that. It'll be the follow up. So, but a lot of stuff to get into. I've watched some things that I definitely want to talk about, and Midnight Mass is one of it's my favorite thing Netflix has ever done. One of my favorite series. So we've got plenty to say on that when we get there too.
Yep.
If we live through eating
the Okaroons.
If they're lead paint. Whatever.
It's edible, I'm telling you. All right. Well, thanks, Joel. It's been fun.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you later.
Later.
It's edible.